Yeah, I mean, they only had 3 points at half, much like Alabama, but this was against South Carolina. Spencer Rattler didn't play great. And Spencer Rattler
in the first half.
Yeah, first half he was possession, he was spectacular.
But then he turns it over multiple times in the second half. And this is a team that had 11 penalties and multiple turnovers. They were -2 in turnovers, 11 penalties. You can't beat the number one team doing that.
Yeah, but sometimes those penalties and those turnovers are caused by how good the other team is.
Oh, yeah, look, I think this Georgia defense is great.
Still no Ladd McConkey, yet a big weapon on offense. The running back room hasn't been healthy. I'm not convinced on Carson Beck yet. But this team still did flex its muscle in the second half to go 21-0, where it was at 14-3 at the half.
And I don't know what's going on with Brock Bowers. He had 7 touches this weekend, which is a lot for him. But he just, I don't know. He looks like he's out of sync a little bit.
I'm not a Georgia believer. I just don't know when it's going to show up on that schedule, though. I really don't. I don't know when they're going to be tested enough.
UAB in town this week before they make a trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium to play Auburn. Big game coming up later on this month. Top of the hour right now, as Rusty is telling everybody in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room, give us the thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. Like and subscribe if you're just here right now lurking and not a subscriber. It's absolutely free. It helps us out. Thumbs ups do too. Top of the hour here. This is the next round.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter at RockstarBHM.
The next round golf card is back and is presented by Urology Centers of Alabama. For $89, play Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the renovated Woodward Golf Club. $247 in value for just $89. Or get bonus gifts with the deluxe golf card for $119. No restrictions, good through September of 2024, but supplies are limited. Buy right now at nextround.store.
Make sure to start your day at nextroundlive.com. Get caught up on the latest podcasts and videos from the live daily show, plus specialty shows such as the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can also learn more about the whole staff at Double Down Media, find all of our social media feeds, see the latest videos from our YouTube channel and gaming channel, plus find other ways to consume the show like the Next Round mobile app, which you can download direct from the site via your iOS and Android device. Make nextroundlive.com your homepage and stay up to date with everything from us here at the Next Round.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round hosts a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, presented by Redmont Vodka. LT has in-depth conversations with personalities like Clay Travis and Taylor Hicks. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple and Spotify. And remember to like and subscribe.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
The Next Round golf cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes of golf and cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. That's a value of $247 for just $89. Or get the Next Round Deluxe golf cart for just $119. It gets you all 4 courses with cart, plus an exclusive Next Round golf t-shirt, koozie, golf tees, and a sticker. There are no restrictions. The cart is good through September 2024. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We hit the ground running today. In this segment, we will react to last night's NFL. A couple of very interesting contests and big takeaways. We will jump into a deep fake that even I didn't take, but a lot of people did. And Lane Kiffin may be doing exactly what Alabama fans want, and that's pissing off Nick Saban. All that in the opening segment. And then we go to our man, Josh Pate. Welcome into the show, Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and everyone else up here at Disrupt Media. Let's start with the NFL last night. Anthony Richardson's getting rave reviews. C.J. Stroud's got nobody around him. He's getting rave reviews. Former Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, Panthers lose again last night. And Bryce now is starting to get questioned a little bit on whether or not he's going to be able to do it at the NFL level.
Two games in.
2 games in,
Come
guys.
on, man.
2 games in. Why is Panther fans walking out of the stadium early upset?
Microwave oven, man. That's where our society is. We want instant gratification, instant results, and it just doesn't work that way in the NFL. And Bryce Young's got, I don't know if you guys noticed this, an awful offensive line. I think he is finally going to find, and we saw it on the final drive, rapport with Adam Thielen. There's a reason they went out and got the veteran from Minnesota. He is a reliable weapon. So I think we're going to see a lot of that back and forth. But this offensive line's got to get better, and Miles Sanders has got to get better. They got to be able to run the football effectively to take some pressure off Bryce. The good news is, threw it 33 times, didn't throw a pick.
My dad texted me, and he's like, man, Bryce has got to feel like he's back at Alabama with this offensive line, which is a sad thing to say about Alabama, but it's true. The difference is, in college, Bryce could use his legs, extend the play, maybe pull it down and run for a good gain. You just don't get to do that in the NFL. The guys are too fast. They're only too quick.
Well, he had a couple last night.
It is so hard to do what he did at Alabama and just continue to extend the play.
Yeah, there were a couple of plays last night that I was thinking to myself, last year he would have been able to get the first down, and they closed so quickly. But he did use his legs for 34 yards last night. The problem was sacked 4 times in the strip sack right before half was, that was pretty devastating.
Cost them the game probably. 2017, they lose the game. They're 0-2. What is concerning about that offensive line and maybe his talent at wide receiver is that he's the 3rd worst in the NFL through 2 weeks on depth of his passes. He's only averaging 4.2 yards per pass attempt. So he's not even trying to throw the ball that far downfield, basically throwing it out into the flats or short little passes.
Doesn't have time.
I would say this, though. The good news for them, and this is difficult to watch, I've watched it with my team, is they're going to get a good draft pick. So they're going to be able to address his weapons issues. You're going to have a high draft pick where you're not going to have to draft quarterbacks, so you're going to be able to get a good receiver or
Didn't
whatever
they trade
it is
away?
they want.
They trade away
DJ Moore.
They traded DJ Moore and a draft pick, though, right? So I don't know.
So is it this year's first that Chicago gets?
I think it was.
I think it is.
Well, then Chicago is going to have 2 good draft picks.
And they need it. But, you look
they may get theirs and the Panthers at the top.
Well,
they
they're
may go
both going to be
1-2.
up there, yeah.
Laviska Shenault was so good at Colorado, and he had moments with the Jags.
Yep.
Again, Adam Thielen is a really good player. Hayden Hurst is an underrated tight end that he really went to week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons. DJ Chark, Miles Sanders. You've got some guys on that roster. It starts with the offensive line.
Yeah, it starts everywhere with the offensive line.
It does.
Later when we talk about Alabama, it starts with the offensive line. It always starts with the offensive line. Saints are 2-0, sneaky 2-0 right now in the South. You have the Bucs, the Falcons, and the Saints all 2-0. But the Saints may be with a bigger upside because they don't have Alvin Kamara, who's out with a suspension for 1 more game. When he comes back, it's going to offer them a little bit of running game, which they need a lot. Their biggest rusher last night, Taysom Hill, with 75 yards.
They're the best in that division. The story to me is we thought the Bucs were the worst in that division. They're not going to be. You're not going to finish last in your division, so congrats, Jim.
It's going to be the Panthers.
It's going to be the Panthers, but I think
we come to conclusions quickly after 2 games.
No, we must. If you're saying that, we must really be
watch that
quickly
Panthers,
to conclusion.
Watch that Panthers team. How many wins do you think they're going to find?
I don't know, but I would assume they're going to get a little bit better as the season goes on.
Well, can you see them winning 3? Because that's the only way they can pass the Bucs now. Because we won 2.
Yeah, but I still don't think you guys are going to be as good. I like Baker Mayfield. There's no way he can consistently play like that.
You haven't played the Panthers yet.
We could be 2-15.
I don't think we've seen the worst of Desmond Ritter. Look, when Taysom Hill, I don't know. it's cringy to watch that guy play.
In the other,
because he's making so much money and he really doesn't do anything.
He was their leading rusher last night.
I get that.
75 yards.
I get it. But, I mean, when you've got to turn – you paid so much money for Derek Carr, throw the football. I mean, Michael Thomas looks like –
he's back.
Yeah, not maybe 100%. Very, very close. Great
Chris
catch.
Olave is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
They just can't hit him when he's wide open.
Again, I think maybe as good as the receivers are for Ohio State this year, you really missed a window with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave.
That is crazy to think you had them both. Yeah,
absolutely. So Saints win the early game, 20-17. In the other game that wasn't late, it was just slightly later, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And thank God for the Steelers defense that scored 2 touchdowns last night. I will sit over here and just let you guys wash praise over me on my pre-draft projections of Kenny Pickett. I feel like when it's all said and done, I'm going to be exactly right about this.
I typed this tweet out and deleted it because I didn't. Is there a stake bet here, or was it just a prediction?
There's no stake bet.
Okay, because that's why I deleted it. I couldn't remember if there was a stake bet or
there
not.
is a stake bet.
No, you already won it. It was Kenny Pickett was going to start a playoff game before Tom Brady or any Buck. And so you won that last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What I was going to say is...
I think I'm going to lose one because he gets credit for last night's win. I've got
8 wins or something like that?
There's still more. Kenny Pickett as a starter in Pittsburgh doesn't get more career wins than who married the ESPN reporter Samantha Ponder.
Oh, Christian Ponder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Well, how many wins did Ponder have?
I don't know. We'd have to look that up.
It's getting pretty tight.
By the way, Kenny Pickett's still registering wins. Christian Ponder
that was my
not,
point.
Yes.
He did nothing to help them win last night.
No, he did not.
Zero.
In fact, he actually contributed more to a loss.
Yes.
Again, did you see their offensive line?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. I was going to tweet, whatever that stake bet is, let's just go ahead and settle it up because this guy is no good.
Yeah,
he's not any good.
But his defense, maybe the best defensive player on the planet, T.J. Watt, is going to carry them. He gets the credit for the win that T.J. Watt provided last night.
Well, I mean, the biggest takeaway is Nick Chubb going down.
Because
if you're the Cleveland Browns, I just don't think Deshaun Watson is going to get back to the form we saw in 2020.
Yeah. Can I just say I appreciate ESPN, and people might criticize them for this. I don't know. But I appreciate them just saying, hey, that's a bad injury. We're not going to show it.
Yeah. The one angle they ended up showing did not show how gruesome it was.
The main angle? Because I have seen the angle they didn't show. I've seen the replay they didn't show, and it's bad.
Yeah.
And Aikman, it was like, you could tell Aikman had seen it in the booth. They had showed him in the replay monitor. And he's like, hey, it's as bad as you imagine. We're not going to show that.
God, he's so good.
Multiple ligament tears.
Oh, it had to be.
Done for the season, and there will be questions of whether or not it's a career ender.
Yeah, and you could just, and the sad part about it, because Minka Fitzpatrick's laying there too, and you could hear the stadium got so quiet, you could hear Nick Chubb's groaning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just hard to watch, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that ESPN, they don't know he's going to groan when they show the close-up, of he and Fitzpatrick laying there. But when you hear him, a grown man, fine-tuned athlete, groaning out loud like that, you're like, God, this is hard to watch. Yeah. I appreciate ESPN not showing the gruesome replay. That's just...
They replayed it in the stadium.
And you heard the stadium.
You heard the stadium go, ooh.
Yeah, that was as Joe Buck was saying, hey, I'm told this is a bad replay. And then the stadium groans. That's when Aikman was like, yeah, we're not going to show this. It's as bad as you imagine.
And then Pittsburgh fans chanting Chubb as he was carted off. That was pretty cool there.
Big rivals.
Those two are rivals there. For them to do that, it must have been really bad.
It's hard to complete 50% of your passes, get outrushed 198-55, and still win. But when you get 2 defensive touchdowns, no red zone snaps for that Pittsburgh offense.
That's so hard.
Kenny Pickett, his confidence is going away as good as it was in the preseason, but the offensive line is not playing good football. If Nick Chubb doesn't go down, Cleveland wins the game. We had Pittsburgh. These things happen, man. There's been some terrible injuries through 2 weeks.
Yeah, when you come out and on your first play of the night, a scripted play, you throw a pick six.
That's a problem.
Problem right there, and that's what happened last night. One of the fastest touchdowns I've ever seen.
It was like so much so that I had on the early game.
Right.
And the score bug pops up 7-0. I'm like, I didn't even know the game had started. What the crap?
I thought they had returned the opening
kick. I did too. That's the only thing I could think of because
I didn't see
it. No,
I was watching the early game and they popped the score bug up and it's already 7-0 Pittsburgh and I'm like, holy crap! How did Pittsburgh score that quick?
With my YouTube TV, I chose not to turn the other TVs on. I just had one big TV on with the split screen.
I'm going to figure that out. But
I toggled back and forth.
I was upstairs, so I only had the one use of the one TV.
I was outside. These are first world problems, but I wanted to take advantage of the soon-to-be fall weather. A little chilly last night.
felt
Sat
good,
out on
didn't
the
I?
screen
I
did.
did too,
So you
Lance.
cooked some chili last night.
Yeah.
And you?
My wife made lasagna, and I sat out on the screen den.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, good night last night.
I went out to a little park and had little man Angus running around. I'm going to send Forrest that video. We get a lot of Lance's big dogs. It's time for little dogs. I'm going to give you a little dog video later on. Tell us about A+, and we'll jump into a couple other things here, including LT's scared of the AIs. It fooled one of the great college quarterbacks of all time and a ton of other media people yesterday. AI did.
I can't believe people fell for that.
I got it right.
Yeah, I mean,
because I was like,
so
there's
obvious.
no way this guy would say this. Tell us about A+.
Obvious.
Yeah.
A+, they are the people that redid my master bath and Lance's master bath. It's my guy, Brad Bell, and here's what he specializes in: master bath and kitchen. And when you have a house, you want those two things to be nice. You spend a lot of time in both of them. But when you go to sell your house, you get your money back. There's not a lot of places you can make upgrades to get your money back, but master bath and kitchen is one of them. People look at those. We weren't crazy about our bathroom. We kind of wanted the darker tones. It was lighter in some of the photos Scott has shown you. You see that? Brad Bell came out after my wife scoured the internet looking for the right person to do the job. She read reviews. She talked to contractors, people that had used certain contractors. She selected Brad Bell. He did amazing work. He can work for you as well. Master bath and kitchen. We went from lighter to darker. Lance saw it, and he's like, man, I like his work. My bathroom's really dark. I'd like it to be lighter.
Yeah, I tell you this. Every time I walk through my bathroom, I'm like, I feel like I'm in a nice hotel.
Oh, how nice. Yeah, because, that's the hotels, they do the bathrooms right. The nice ones do.
It's like a late checkout for you.
I love it. I'm telling you, it really... It's a difference maker in your home.
It is, man. And you spend, think about it, you're in there multiple times every day. Why would you not want it to be nice? Master Bath and Kitchens, Master Bath and Kitchens. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's what Brad Bell specializes in. Call him today. 205-422-1758. That is 205-422-1758. A+ Tile Home Remodeling. If you missed anything, reach out to me. I'll get you in touch with my man, Brad.
All right. So deep fakes. And it's deep fakes are AI generated, right? They can make anybody say anything. I've seen a back and forth on Brown's TikTok before of Trump and Biden having a conversation saying some horrible jokes. I've seen Barack Obama say something. I mean, this is a way you always fear that AI could end the world. Wars could start over this.
Like if you had an AI of President Biden saying something obscene about another nation.
Every bad scenario you can imagine probably will happen. AI, like somebody, cheating on their wife that wasn't really true.
Yeah.
You show it, dude blows another guy away.
Yeah. Wow.
So
it could be bad.
The giveaway was the sponsorship for me was the sponsorship on the Iowa backdrop.
That's right.
I was about to ask you guys, what is Heavens FX? I have not seen this.
This okay.
A very non-Iowa sponsor. When you see Iowa, you expect like Iowa Farm Bureau or Future Farmers of America.
Not at Heavens FX. The people that put together this deep fake AI generated Brian Ferentz is the Iowa OC. Remember, he's supposed to get 325 offensive points or lose his job this year. Here's the fake Brian Ferentz yesterday.
You all have had fun with this 25-point obsession, and I get it. I do. But if I'm not mistaken, we just dropped 41 on Saturday. So maybe it's time to grab a hold of your little step ladders and go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
Oh, that's so
I tell you the movement of the lips.
I know, it doesn't even look good. I cannot believe people
that
fell
old Conan bit where they just had a TV behind it.
70s martial arts made more sense.
There's no doubt. I mean, like the first time I watched it, I laughed, but I'm like, there's no way this is real. I mean, it's impossible.
I think they counted 3,000 media people
that bid on it.
Before, and some deleted, some admitted they bid on it. That included the great Matt Leinart.
Not bad.
Here's Matt Leinart. His response, hit it, Rockstar.
You all have had fun with this 25-point obsession, and I get it. I do. But if I'm not mistaken, we just dropped 41 on Saturday. So maybe it's time to grab a hold of your little step ladders and go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
Hey, I do like to climb out of my ass for a while.
How did you come up with that line?
You can come back, but just get out of it for a while.
No, when we start,
give me a little rest.
When we start Big Ten play, I get it. Yeah. I mean, I cannot believe people fell for that.
Yeah. Hey, it's fun in sports. It really is. It is fun in sports. But when we have presidents and world leaders saying it, it's going to cause us problems.
I'll never forget the first time I was alerted to deepfake. was, God, who's the former Saturday Night Live actor that does the imitations of Tom Cruise and all that?
Bill Hader.
Yeah, Bill Hader. And I came to Rockstar. I was like, Rockstar, this Bill Hader guy's incredible. Look, I can't believe I fell for it. I was like, look how he just makes himself look like Tom Cruise. And Rockstar's like, bro, that's a deep fake. Oh, deep fake. Okay.
All right. We'll get into what I think is brilliant of Lane Kiffin doing Alabama one more solid before Nick Saban retires into the future. Lane still wanting to help out Alabama. He's playing it perfectly this week. Tell us about our friends at Hemp Hill, and we'll get into the hot and cold of the Ole Miss-Alabama rivalry.
Yeah, Hemp Hill offering 0% for 60 months for qualified customers, plus 10-year labor warranty when you mention the next round. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services for all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs. Trusted name. Birmingham is trusted since 1954. It's hard to stop a train. Call now, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
All right, so here we go. Everyone's like wanting angry Nick Saban back, man. They want to see the fire in Nick Saban again, man. He needs to get these guys, needs to get them fired up. Needs to look different now. He's being too passive with these guys when they're making mistakes. Well, yesterday at his news conference, started inching a little bit more to angry Nick Saban as he is like, I need to address this. He talks about, Kevin Steele's still the defensive coordinator.
I know you've heard a lot of things.
Had to explain everything that Lane Kiffin had put out there. I think Lane Kiffin now, who tweets last night about a castle crumbling. It's a Taylor Swift song. It has Taylor singing. Here's the tweet. Castle crumbling, Taylor Swift. And there's Lane Kiffin's tweet, castle with a comet coming to hit it.
I cannot believe there are Auburn fans that wanted this guy as their head coach.
In the lyrics, the part that he clips out talks about dynasties falling.
He is a complete clown.
I just cannot believe people want this guy as their head coach. Whatever.
I mean, this is what you want as an Alabama fan with them coming in.
100%.
I mean, this is how you awaken a team that looks a little sleepy right now. Got Pete Golding coming back to town. Alabama fans are now worried that they bitched about Pete Golding for 4 years, and now Pete Golding's going to come back and shut them out. Yeah. It's a real concern.
Yeah, go watch Ole Miss's defense and tell me that.
Lane Kiffin explaining yesterday on why the T-Rob conversation happened with him on Sunday and why he thinks he's got people inside the building at Alabama that are still talking to his people at Ole Miss.
Lane, what did you see on film that led you to make the comment last night about Coach Robinson coaching their defense?
That was, again, I was asked the question what it was like going against Steele's defense, so I wasn't really trying to start this big thing. We saw things on TV copy just where it was different, of first off of what the play looked like, the calls and stuff, and then so we looked into that further, and then, I mean, it ain't no secret. We kind of, people in these buildings know each other, so obviously got some information that way too. So, it just is what it is, kind of like the quarterbacks. You got to prepare for a different quarterback, prepare for a different play caller. So we got a game film of that. I'm not sure whatever transpired after Texas, but we're going to have our hands full no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things there. Number one, I love people that like roll a grenade in a crowd. It's like, I wasn't trying to cause anything. I just rolled a grenade in the crowd. I mean, I can't help the way you guys reacted to me rolling a grenade in the crowd. I mean, I was just rolling a grenade in the crowd. I mean, the way you reacted, that's on you. That was Lane Kiffin there. But then number two, to say that people in the Alabama football complex are telling people in the Ole Miss football complex that T-Rob is calling the defense and not Kevin Steele. I mean, he's just escalated it to another level and he's doing this intentionally. This is not 100%. An accident. I mean, don't think he's stumbled into that.
He's trying to play mind games with the old guy.
You know what Nick Saban's got to do twice more now? He's got to talk to the media on the SEC teleconference Wednesday, and then after practice, he's got to meet with the Alabama media in the football building Wednesday. So twice more now. He's got to talk to the media. You think anybody's going to ask Nick Saban about that? Coach Lane Kiffin said people in your football complex are telling people in his football complex that T-Rob's calling signals. I know you said it's Kevin Steele, but I'm just curious your reaction to
maybe people in your
building talking to people in the Ole Miss building spreading rumors.
Yeah, Lane is too dumb to get this, but let me remind you of something. Somebody at their core, and I'll give you an example. Like, I think I've really calmed down emotionally. Like, I don't have meltdowns like I used to have. I had one this past Friday because Bullet decided to piss in front of me, looking at me all over the hardwoods. Okay, and I had just had them out. They had every opportunity to go to the bathroom. We had been out running for a couple of hours.
Yep.
So I lost my shit. And so I was talking to a buddy about it Saturday, and he said, the good news is the older you get, the more, not necessarily passive, you just can control emotions better. And I think Nick Saban has shown that over the last couple of years. But much like John Wick, when you killed his dog and he was retired, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, people are going to explode and they're going to go back to their true character. And I think you might get that from Nick Saban. Now, I don't know if he's got an offense that can run it up on
anybody.
I don't know if they're good enough to do that, but if he could beat the hell out of Lane Kiffin this weekend, he'll do everything he can.
That was the response that I got when I tweeted this morning about, Lane Kiffin maybe helping Alabama out by waking up.
I agree.
Angry Nick Saban. And they said unless he can block and throw the football, I don't know if angry Nick Saban can help this team. We'll find out because motivation-wise, all the good rat poison is out there for Alabama this week.
Yeah, and I would tell my guys, hey, look, look at this shit he is talking right now. This is about you. Disrespect. He did it a couple of years ago. The guys that were in this locker room, the guys that are going to the NFL, they took care of it. We stomped his ass early. You guys need to go out there and prove a point right now. And Jalen Milroe, don't turn the football over.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go get lunch.
All right. We'll talk to Josh Pate, Late Kick Josh, when we come back. The show being brought to you by our friends at Chicken Cock. When it's time to, the temperatures are getting warm. It's time to pour nice, neat bourbon. Make it our friends at Chicken Cock.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, available in bourbon and rye right here in Alabama. All their expressions are available at your local ABC store. You can order through that, or you can go online, chickencockwhiskey.com. Again, it is the official bourbon right here of the next round. Absolutely love some Chicken Cock. Again, unique name, unique bottle. You're going to love it. Pick it up in the bourbon and rye. I've got both. We've got both in the green room. It's Chicken Cock Whiskey.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Yellowwood 500. It's the NASCAR Playoff Series at Talladega Superspeedway on September 30th and October 1st. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call. LT takes off the gloves for an in-depth conversation with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmond Vodka. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
The Next Round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming, and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
We're heading to talk to Josh Pate. LT's about to tell you about Odie's as we go to Josh Pate here. But I love to throw things out that are non-sports before we go to Pate because he reacts to anything. He is at times a storm chaser.
Right.
Maybe we need to deploy him to South Carolina. I was reading last night. We, as a country, lost an F-35 jet over South Carolina, they think.
It's just missing?
The pilot ejected, some mishap over a training mission. He's safe.
Well, that was a mishap.
They can't find the jet.
We're training.
They can't find the jet.
It's an $80 million jet.
Now, are we sure he didn't just land the jet, sell the jet, and then act like he aborted the mission?
I'll give you $65 million and not a dime more.
1.7 trillion over the use of the jet, over the value of the jet over the years of usage. But the technology is important. They're asking the public to help. Sounds like a job for Josh Pate.
Oh, wow.
Coming up.
Late Kick Josh on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Have you ever tried to find a jet, Josh?
So I need you guys to do something. Okay. I know you've got a massive social media team of dozens and dozens behind that camera. Go on my Twitter account. Look at last night. I retweeted this dude. I've never heard of him before, but it caught me at just the right time. Someone photoshopped that jet in a Buc-ee's parking lot and said they just found it there. Oh, I lost it. I lost it. I'm tearing up thinking about it right now.
I'm looking at it right now. That is so good. Yeah,
oh, man, that was funny. Classic. So, yeah, I know nothing. I've seen nothing. I've done nothing. I'm not involved in this.
I just saw it, Josh. That is awesome.
So good. But, I mean, like,
there it is. Forrester has it right there.
Of course he does. Scott is so fast. That is really good at a Buc-ee's parking lot.
Is that really an F-35? That looks like an F-30 to me.
I have no idea. Is that really Brian Ferentz flying it, Jim?
Yes.
All right, so your opinions on Alabama football have painted a little bit of a negative picture of what's going on there. You're a very positive person. I don't mean that as an insult to you, but you're just saying what you think is the truth, that Alabama's coaching staff isn't quite up to par of where it should be, and that you think maybe Jalen Milroe was suspended for the game, which is a little bit of a darker picture for Alabama fans than what some may have painted.
Yeah, with the Milroe stuff, I probably should have clarified that a little more. I don't mean, or I didn't mean suspended as in this dude's not dressing today. Obviously, he dressed. He was on the sideline. I thought it was more an internal thing of he's not playing. He's our third option this Saturday for a reason. I think those reasons, like you guys talked about yesterday, had a lot to do with how he handled last week. Look, that's the long and short of it, okay? They could start him this Saturday, and he could have his Jacob Coker moment. They could go on to win a national championship. Nothing's permanent. Like last week, when we looked at how they played against South Florida, they were terrible. It was one of the worst. I think it's the worst I've ever seen Bama look under Saban, and that counts 07, only because in 07 there were no expectations like there were this year. And, like it or not, that's part of this ecosystem. So I said Sunday night, I thought it was indicative of some folks giving less than max effort because they disagreed with personnel moves. I still believe that. I didn't have a single person from that program reach out and say otherwise, by the way, which speaks volumes because they'll normally be quick to do it if you're wrong about something. And so that's the past. It's like if Dunaway walks in and he's 500 pounds and I say, Dunaway, you're morbidly obese. You need to lose weight. It's a problem for you. And he shows up 3 years later in his current state of sveltness, and he says, what now? Am I overweight now? No, you lost weight. You're good now. Bama could show up Saturday, play with the right mentality, and everything would be fine. But you can't see around the corner. You can talk about what is in the here and now. And as of last Saturday, what was in the here and now was something not only not up to the Bama standard, guys, that's not up to, I don't know, Pickett. That's not up to the Missouri standard. That's not up to the Arkansas standard. It's not even close.
Dunaway is self-described skinny fat, just for the record.
Right.
You told me that.
You said that.
Yeah, you say it.
But I don't know why I'm taking bullets in this interview.
No, I'm
here.
just clarifying. He is very, very, very thin now, Josh.
As Josh
so Lane Kiffin, I think we know, gives 0 Fs. and he continues to poke the cage. And I don't know if you were a Game of Thrones guy back in the day, but Alabama seems like the mountain. It's been like maimed, and he's on his back. And Lane Kiffin is Red Viper, like talking shit above him. And I don't know why they just won't go out and play. Why you want to give Alabama any extra motivation when they are staggered right now makes zero sense to me. But, again, it is Lane Kiffin.
Okay, so I never saw Game of Thrones. That means nothing to me. But I did see Twister. And so
Of course you
here's
did.
what you're telling me, LT. You were telling me that Bill Paxton's there in the diner in rural Oklahoma, and Evil Jonas with all his black vehicles, everything's black, all black. He is eyeballing him, and he's trashing him behind the scenes. But he's also talking to his sidekick saying, hey, do we know where Bill Paxton's going? We got to follow him. We got to copy him because we can't do it on our own. That's kind of what you're suggesting here. So it's the classic Game of Thrones Twitter melt, and it all basically transpires on the field this Saturday. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. I also think there's a certain appreciation I have for someone who's so psychotic as to just not care if they get egg all over their face. Kiffin does not care. He'll go comment emoji towards a castle as he wakes up this morning, knowing full well what it means. And if they lose 30-0 Saturday, it'll be, oh, well, I'm going to do it just the same way next year.
I've never seen Twister, so what you're saying is the count, when he's giving us the number of the day, knows what the number of the day is, and he's just toying with us as he counts.
It's amazing he knows the characters' names. I'm not surprised, but Kerry Ells played the bad guy. What'd you say, Jonas?
Yes.
Yeah. It did not end well for Jonas.
No.
No.
Not to spoil the 1996 blockbuster for anyone, but no, it didn't.
Hey, if Jalen Milroe is your quarterback, which is what it looks is going to be the rest of the season, don't you think Alabama at some point has to say, all right, this is what he can do. You've got to change your offensive approach, because in the Texas game, it still looked like they were trying to run a portion of the offense that Bryce Young and Tua and Mack and all those guys ran. At some point, don't you just have to say somewhere just south of the Service Academy, you've got to turn into a running football team?
Yeah, my simple mind would think so. Look, Tommy Rees he's took a lot of things. He's taken a lot of heat. Tommy Rees has taken a lot of heat recently. I've sort of backed off of that. It's not because I think Alabama's offensive product has been anything to write home about. I just know sort of the dynamic around there. And the dynamic is not Tommy Rees walks in, Saban says, all right, I'll see you on Saturdays. Hope you bring something good to the table. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of input into that offensive game plan. Nothing is signed off on in that building without Nick Saban's signature. That's who's signing off on it. And so I don't know if it's solely at the feet of Tommy Rees. And I can also tell folks who are hopeful that some change is made around there. Folks love Tommy Rees over there. I mean, to a man, everybody in that building loves Tommy Rees. Now, that doesn't always coincide with being a good football coach, but I think there's a lot of leash and they believe in him. But also, like you just said, what do we see Saturday? Is there a change in approach? Do we get at halftime and start texting each other saying, wow, where was this against if this was the Texas approach, maybe they beat Texas. I just think the most glaringly obvious weapon with Milroe is his ability to run the ball. When you see him in the open field, it's terrifying for a defense. So why not try and incorporate a little bit more of that? Also, and I say this very loosely, you do have two other quarterbacks, so you don't have to play with the constant fear of something going wrong in the season being derailed. But on the flip side, I don't know if you guys have let your minds go here yet. What if they lose Saturday? What if Alabama were to lose and they're a 2-loss team before the end of September? You're talking about totally unprecedented waters, uncharted waters. And you're talking about a program that's never had to deal with that kind of dynamic internally. Now, I know that's doomsday scenario and everyone wants them to win, but if they were to lose to Lane Kiffin, no less, deep breath.
Yeah. Not just Lane Kiffin. Pete Golding, the guy you bitched about for 4 years. Pete Golding.
Yeah.
Josh Pate not getting
rocking back and forth. It's like Leo Mazzoni when he coached with the Braves. You just kind of rock back and forth. Yeah. It's a terrifying thought, is it not?
It is a terrifying thought for Alabama fans. There's no doubt. Josh Pate has a provider that does not get ABC right now, saying Alabama has two other quarterbacks. So clearly did not get to see the game Saturday. Josh with us at Late Kick Josh.
There are two other highly recruited quarterbacps we haven't seen yet.
That's true.
Lonergan and Holstein.
You did not say which two you were talking about, Josh. That is fair. That is fair.
Hey, I appreciate the honor system of when you raise your hand on this show, people do eventually get quiet and they let you talk. I appreciate that. Not every show has that kind of decorum anymore.
Right.
You just mentioned a name, Dylan Lonergan. So fall camp, we keep hearing his name, right? And everything about you is saying, don't fall for it. It's just a true freshman, probably getting big plays against the 2s or the 3s. No, no, no. Well, the deeper into this we get, do you think we start hearing his name more and more? Do you think people in that building start saying more and more, well, if we're going to take our lumps, let's take them with probably the guy that shows the highest upside in this quarterback room? Because a month ago, I was not there. And I don't know that I'm there quite yet, but I'm a lot more open to the idea now.
Josh Pate is Late Kick Josh on 24/7. That's where you follow him on Twitter. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Do you feel like you have a better grasp of who Auburn is or who Texas A&M is going into this game at College Station Saturday?
No, is my answer. No, I think probably Texas A&M, because Texas A&M, I know the personnel better. I've seen that personnel play together more. I don't think that there is the potential for as wild a fluctuation week to week with them as I do Auburn, but I'm glad they play each other this weekend because that answers a lot of questions for me. Oh, by the way, if Auburn wins this game Saturday, number one, pretty sizable upset. Number two, chaos in College Station. That's their second loss. We're talking about the Alabama doomsday. That's the doomsday for A&M. Thirdly, all of a sudden with Georgia banged up like you wouldn't believe and being a little staggered, we get Georgia at Auburn next Saturday, CBS 3:30, 2:30 game of the week. And might that get a little white-hot spotlight no one expected?
Yeah, if Auburn's coming off a win in College Station, that game does feel a little bit different. I do not disagree with you there, especially with Georgia as banged up as they are. All right, Late Kick Josh, at Late Kick Josh on Twitter. See him on 24/7. Do the things for him we ask you to do for us. Always give thumbs up, subscribe to his content, and support Josh as best you can. Josh, thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care, Josh Pate on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
Brought to you by a couple of our great sponsors. Odie's is one of them. We were talking about them before we headed to Josh.
Yeah, just a day away from Odie's Team Trivia every Wednesday night. Come out. Me and Rocky Will Haver will get out there about 8 o'clock. But get there early. Enjoy some great food from Rodney Davis. Not only the Crestline location, which we are at every Wednesday night, but now the sister location right there in Homewood off of Broadway in Oxmoor. Odie's Tavern, it's a Birmingham institution, ice cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light. Stop in, see Will Haver and that great staff today.
And you heard Josh talk about it. How did 500-pound Jim make it down to his cool 185-pound self? He did it with our friends at Way to Wellness. Blood pressure, cholesterol numbers bad, Way to Wellness can help you out. Want to lose weight? Way to Wellness can help you out. All you have to do is go to this website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. It's your journey to healthy living right there. No contracts, no sign-up fees. And your consultation with Leslie and her board-certified team is absolutely free. And the plan is different for everyone. Just check it out, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. I was by there. Was it Monday or was it last week? Whenever I went by there last, it was just full of Next Round viewers and listeners. And I appreciated meeting all of you guys, and I'm glad it's working for you as well. Way to Wellness. The website again, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. All right, Josh talking about a lot of stuff there at home with Alabama. One of those things that he was talking about was the plan for Jalen Milroe. Nick Saban yesterday in our overtime after we were done officially on this show didn't say he's won the job. He's our first team quarterback, but basically he said Jalen Milroe is the quarterback for the rest of the season. So now what do you do with Jalen Milroe as the quarterback?
Well, I mean, I do think you've got to listen, I'm no offensive genius, but it would seem like if you did more designed runs for Jalen Milroe, take advantage of what you know he does well, right? Not try to force him constantly to do what he might struggle with, but you know what he does well. He runs the football well. That's only going to help draw the safeties in a little bit, which should open up your passing game some deep. It's going to open up your run game, which I think is showing some promise. I think Alabama's traditional run game, Lance, with McClellan and Roydale Williams and a little bit of Jam Miller, is showing some promise right now. That should help all those things, and it masks your biggest deficiency right now, which is your pass protection with your offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've got to have design runs out there to take stress off that offensive line. And again, it's what Jalen Milroe does best. He either throws a great deep ball or he's able to make plays athletically. And the intermediate routes aren't working right now, so why not give him an opportunity to showcase his skills with his wills and then take shots deep?
I like that, Lip.
Skills with your wills.
I did not mean to do that.
That's really good.
Skills with your wills.
Yeah. But, I mean, look, they can't protect him. So why not slow down the pass rush a little bit by at least making that defensive coordinator, at least making Pete Golding think, I got to be careful blitzing here because if he pulls it down and I've emptied out my linebackers, we got some running room here.
If I'm Alabama, though, if I'm Tommy Rees and I look at the Tulane film, Tulane had some opportunities. Now, late pick six, that was kind of the death blow, and they ended up winning the game going away. But up until the fourth quarter, Tulane, with a backup quarterback, controlled that game. So if I watch film there, I am optimistic Jalen Milroe can make plays. And the more I think about this game, I think Alabama, because – and I'll use my John Wick analogy or Game of Thrones, I think they're poking the cage a little too hard. I think Alabama comes out, plays really, really good football. And let's not forget, that defense still is really good. I don't care who's calling the plays.
All right. I've got the pants store sound of the day that gets you ready. You need to find you somebody that loves you like J.C. Latham loves Caden Proctor, okay? Give me cut number 8, Rockstar. I'll tell you about the pants store while you cue it up. The pants store, just wonderful folks there. If you're an Alabama fan heading to Bryant-Denny, one thing I love about Auburn when they're on the road, seeing everybody decked in Auburn gear, you get that as well if you're going to College Station. Right there at the Pants Store. Online, wherever you're watching us, pantstore.com, or any of their 6 locations. Choose from famous name brand polos like Gentile, Cutter & Buck, Antigua, Elephant Head, Taylor & Mick. Or for the ladies, you get the skirts, the rompers, the clear bags, the booties, and everything you need. Pantstore.com, or 6 locations, Auburn, Crestline, Hoover, Huntsville, Leeds, and Tuscaloosa. J.C. Latham. Is the question in this, Forrester, or do I need to set it up specifically? Question in this?
I don't remember if I left the question in or not.
I got 15 cuts on this sheet here.
I cut a few pieces of video this morning.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna read it the way you wrote it here. J.C. Latham on Caden Proctor compares Proctor to Kobe and Jordan's early struggles.
Okay,
that's Kobe Bryant.
Hear this.
That's Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. Here's J.C. Latham.
What do you say to a guy like Caden, who is obviously in the starting lineup, has had struggles? What do you say to him to keep his head up?
He's young. I mean, you look at all the greats like Kobe airballing his first shot, Jordan not making varsity in high school. I mean, not everybody has the perfect career or even the perfect start. Some people go through their own trials and tribulations. Not everybody's the same, so you can't really compare what you're going through with somebody else, because at the end of the day, he'll turn out to be one of the best tackles in the country, and we'll all look back at this and see it as a learning curve. So,
okay, not as bad as I thought.
That's what I'm going to say. On paper, you go, whoa, what the?
Yeah.
But then you listen and you go,
okay,
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
that's the correct answer right there.
It's a good message. Absolutely, it's a good message.
Did I ever tell you guys I was watching the Lakers against Utah when Kobe airballed those in the Western Conference Finals? This is in 2000, I want to say, 99. And I felt so bad for Kobe, I was going to personally write him a letter and send it to him.
Dearest Kobe.
Just as a Lakers fan, I was so upset about the loss, but I was like, this kid is going to be so good, and he doesn't need to get down on himself. Now, I never took the time to write the letter. I doubt he ever would have read it, and Kobe ended up just fine.
Yeah, he was okay. No, I mean, that's a good message from J.C. Latham, from more of a veteran than Caden Proctor, to say, look, even greats have struggles early. You may not be Kobe or Jordan one day, but learn from them, right? They're great players that struggled early. I'm all right with that.
You think J.C. Latham has done some studying? You think some sports psychology people have worked with this Alabama team? That's a great little piece of advice right there if you struggle in work. All right, when we come back, we will continue the conversation about college football. We got our 4 downs coming up. Later on, Clay Travis at the top of the hour. upset alert in the 11 o'clock hour to start the final hour of the show. That's coming up a little bit later on. The show being brought to you by the best tequila on the market. That's our friends at Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila. Completely clear and multi-age tequila using wood barrels from the Balkan region of Eastern Europe. Nobody else makes tequila the way Maestro Dobel makes their tequila, and it shows in the smooth taste and that little note of wood that you get from being in the barrel. It is crystal clear tequila. It is the best. It's Maestro Dobel Diamante. Back in a moment.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA. The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store. DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
The Next Round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Want more of The Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
All right, back with you on The Next Round. Clay Travis, top of the hour. Listen, I'm about to tell you about NASCAR, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, a way to get tickets. But I want to show you just NASCAR fast, okay?
All right.
If you everyone will look at the screen, if you're watching us, this is Angus yesterday. Watch this get up speed, 0 to 60. Give it to me, Forrester. Look at that dog run. Look at that dog run. Giving you 110% right there. NASCAR speed. Can I get it again, Forrester? One more time. Here we go. Look at that speed right there. Coming out of turn 4, down the stretch he comes. Little Angus there. It's hard when you're that small, but look at that ball of hair.
So that was Maggie's her go-to. She's the one that got Angus, right?
Yes.
And now she leaves you with Angus.
Yeah, sometimes. But he's my buddy now. Baxter died. I was with Baxter for, I guess, 15 years when Baxter passed, right before the pandemic. And I never thought I'd love another dog, but little Angus
it's
and
coming around.
Little Angus and I talk a lot. We still have Charlie Cockblocker.
Would you just like to let Charlie maybe wander off one day?
Yeah, I'm playing the slow game with Charlie. He's getting old.
I wish you would take on Bullet and Chili just for one day.
Oh no,
Sounds fun. By the way,
I swung by your house the other day, and I was there for 5 minutes, and my anxiety level went way up. Those dogs are a handful. But then you sent out a picture last night of them basically hugging each other.
That was us outside, watching the game outside on the screen den, and I mean, they're so sweet together, and they can be so sweet, but then they just turn into devils.
Yeah.
Like this morning, I let them out, so I've crated them. I've never crated dogs before, and so these two are being crated overnight, and so they immediately go out. Chili goes 1 and 2. Bullet, the longest number 1 ever. He likes to piss on himself, so he smells like a bomb. Another story. But then we come inside. I go downstairs to work out. I let him run around when I'm down there, and I smell. I'm like, he is shit somewhere. And I go out, and he's dropped it right in front of the stairs. And I'm just, he can't get it, and it's not his fault because he's basically a feral dog.
That's right. He's been out in the woods surviving. They're great animals, though. Love them, love them, love them. Just like you'll love your trip to NASCAR coming up September 30th and October 1st, September 30th, October 1st. It's the Yellowwood 500 playoff race. Get a chance to go over there at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for tickets. Hardy in concert Saturday night. It's a party all weekend. People will start camping out here in a few days, and they'll be there for the party. Hardy is the party on Saturday night, and then the Yellowwood 500 on Sunday. Get your tickets, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Really interesting in gambling circles. Like 7-2-1 for you in the NFL, counting last night, right?
Yep.
And that was this weekend?
That was this weekend, yeah.
7-2-1, the one push on the 2-point conversion from the Panthers last night. Lance'sLock.com. What's been happening in college football? Everyone's been piling on Colorado, right? Piling on Colorado.
You mean betting on them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bet. And Vegas had taken a hit the first 2 weeks.
They had.
People had bet on Colorado.
Boy, I bet they got it. Almost every dime of it back
Funny
Saturday
you should
night.
say that.
Yeah.
From Vegas insiders, ESPN reporting, one guy was asked, did you guys make back any of the money you lost the first 2 weeks with people playing Colorado, with them not covering against Colorado State? Because remember, more money was bet on Colorado this week than were bet on NFL games. He said, yeah, we almost made almost all of it back. 2 weeks of losses on Colorado.
So
almost made it all back on one game this week.
So they're going to be able to keep the lights on in Vegas.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That's how it works,
It was
Lance.
touch and go.
That's how it works there.
That's how it works, and I'm telling you, this week will be a absolute bloodbath.
Is it still at 21? I saw it at mybookie.ag at 21.
Oh, I'm checking this.
So are people still betting Colorado this week to cover, or is it evened out a little?
It's evened out a little bit.
Well, I think
yeah.
Travis Hunter being out will scare people.
Yeah.
He's such a good player, and it's like losing 2 players.
I'm surprised he didn't come off the board, in fact.
It is 21.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with Travis Hunter, that number's probably more in the 17, 18 range.
And how about a total of 71? That is an exceptionally high total, isn't it?
Yeah, but look how Oregon's been
Oh,
scoring.
I know. Both of them, really.
Yeah, and you're right. Colorado's, they're going to sling it around no matter how much they're down trying to come back.
I think Vegas, is playing, guessing they're going to be behind and having to throw a lot.
Rockstar, my apologies. Can you give me a cut 3 first? I apologize. I'd give
You
him
apologize first?
I apologize.
Do you think it was sincere?
I gave Rockstar the wrong number to start with. But to me, as great a show as Colorado has been so far.
I mean, this preview screen, what is going on here, Jim?
Well, get to it.
Okay.
There's the preview screen.
I mean, what in the world?
But I'm just about to tell you what a classy move this was by Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Travis Hunter got the late hit the other day from Henry Blackburn of Colorado State. Henry Blackburn and his family are getting death threats and threats of violence against them for the late hit that he was penalized for that injured the spleen of Travis Hunter, has Hunter out at least 3 weeks.
Yeah, by the way, a year ago today, Colorado fans were more interested in, am I going indica tonight or am I going hybrid?
Yeah.
And now this thing has turned around so much, hey, you put one of our players out, we want to kill you.
Yeah, it's death threats. I mean, that is how serious Colorado fans have got.
But Travis Hunter, who has his own podcast and video cast every week, part of his NIL deal, from his hospital room. Maybe he's back in his dorm or in his girlfriend's dorm.
Children's hospital?
Yeah.
What kind of hospital?
Where's his wagon?
Yeah. He says he really tries to take the heat off of Henry Blackburn here, and this is a classy move, I think, from Travis Hunter.
Football, at the end of the day, stuff like that's going to happen. So I just stay humble. He did what he was supposed to do. It's football. Something bad's going to happen on the field sooner or later. We just got to get up and fight again. That's what I try to do. Good thing the doctors stopped me, because if there was no doctors there, I would have still been out there playing. But I'm thankful for everybody that helped me that day. Well, you got smoked. Yes, I definitely got smacked.
12 Talks there, Travis Hunter. Yeah. New episodes up every Monday as he goes throughout the season on his podcast there. But he says, listen, he did what he was supposed to do. Now, it was a penalty. It was a late hit, but it's a physical game. I admire Travis Hunter for taking the high road there and trying to take a little heat off the kid.
Yeah, Jay Norville said it was a bang-bang play. I think it was a little more than a bang-bang. I didn't necessarily mind it because they were setting a tone. Now, you don't want to get that 15-yard penalty, and they had plenty of them. But I love the fact that he comes out and says that. Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree. I thought it was a classy move by him. I think, Jay Norville cost his team that football game. His team played well enough to win that football game, but him making this game so personal, and I think it fed down to his team, and it led to 178 yards of penalties.
Yeah, but if they had not made it so personal, they would not have been in the contest.
I disagree with you, Jim. I think they were good enough to play with Colorado.
I don't think they were. I think
they
played with that
quarterback,
edge.
that freshman quarterback, completed all those passes because his coach?
I think they played with an edge, and they took it to Colorado. That's why they were in the game. The injury helped them be in the game late, and then when it was down for the coach to put his balls on the table and be criticized for going for it on 4th and 2 or going for the 2-point conversion, he decided to let it play out, and he let his team down. Nobody said this, but Jay Norville let his team down because his balls weren't big enough at the end when he would take the heat for the loss for not going for 2 when he had a chance to win the game, or going for it on 4th and 2 to run the clock out. That's a chance there when coaches need to take the blame.
It was his Brian Kelly moment. Brian
Kelly last year goes for 2 against Alabama.
If he misses that, every LSU fan walks to that stadium saying, you know what, I respect the fact my coach had balls enough to do it. Every LSU fan.
Jay Norville could have left the thing on being carried out.
One LSU fan walks to that stadium saying, God, I wish we'd kick the point there. They're all like, man, he went after Nick Saban in Alabama. Right. We lost the game, but look where our program's going. We got a coach that ain't going to back down to Nick Saban. Every Colorado State fan, all 15 of them, would have looked at that game and said, we got a coach that didn't go back down out of fear to Deion.
58 minutes, and all week long he had done exactly what Colorado State fans wanted him to do. He stood toe-to-toe.
I
You're
do
absolutely right.
agree with you. It was the edge they needed to tell themselves, we've got to do everything to stay in this game. But I also agree with you that they took it a little too far, and without one or two of those penalties, they probably won the game.
But back to the 2-point conversion, too, and then it makes Deion look a little bit bad for taking the ball in overtime.
Yeah.
For going first in overtime, because then you gave Norvell
score, and now he can walk it off.
That's right. I can walk it off, and I know I can walk it off. Yeah. You've allowed me to dictate the outcome of the game. And, Coach Prime has not called a lot of criticism for his coaching, nor should he have. He's done a great job. But that would have been the first time somebody could have stopped and said, boy, that was a mistake by Coach Prime to take the ball first in overtime.
Okay, tell us about Bromberg's real quick. We'll get to Clay Travis coming up here in just a second.
Family-owned and operated since 1836. They are your diamond specialists. Nothing like giving or getting that silver box from our friends at Bromberg. Stop in to one of those 2 great locations, Mountain Brook and the Summit. You can also shop online right now. Go to brombergs.com.
And listen, we are a rowback show here. There is a great Roback hoodie, the best hoodies.
Now, Roback doesn't want to tell you that's a Vizsla.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like everybody will say it's a lab. Yeah. It's not a lab. It's a Vizsla.
TNR 20 at checkout to save on your first purchase, 20%.
One of the best promotional campaigns ever launched this week with our friends at Roback. Here is their new CEO. And you may remember him with a catchphrase, "Go Tigers." Take a look at this.
I'm about to go on maternity leave, as you can see, and we need to hire an interim CEO here at Roback. Our first call was my dear friend and national champion, Coach O. Coach O is taking our warehouse to the next level.
How you gonna play football with your eyes down? Quick hands, quick hips, quick feet, just like that. Ah! They're counting on us. They're counting on us. Eyes up, eyes up, eyes up, eyes up.
Needless to say, he's an excellent motivator.
Hey, everybody, employee of the month. Yeah, baby. Here we go. We're gonna beat it with our quality. We're gonna beat it with our prices. We're the best damn active brand in the world. You understand that?
He also started a new slogan for the company.
Every time we close, we say, "Go Roback." Thank you for your support. Go Roback. Go Roback.
Go Roback.
Hey, go Roback.
It is so fun to see him in the trenches with our design and marketing teams.
For this season, we're running purple and more tiger print polos Go Roback! All my website photography will look like this. I know you're the mascot, but I really think our logo ought to be a tiger. What do you think?
And to cap it off, he finishes every day with a press conference.
Our cards have never been better. Our KPIs are through the roof. Best fit, best feel. Go Roback.
We honestly couldn't feel more comfortable leaving the company in such amazing hands.
Help me keep this job. Go to roback.com. Check out the best activewear on the market. Go Roback. Don't even do it again.
You don't need to do it again.
That is fantastic.
Oh, roback.com. TNR20, help us out as well. TNR20 on your first purchase there. Clay Travis when we come back. Stay with us.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at Ryan Brown Live.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
You want to look great while supporting your favorite show? You know the place to go is the official Next Round store at nextround.store. Yes, there are .store domains, and we have one. From shirts to hoodies to hats and all kinds of fun stuff, you can rep the Next Round anywhere you go. At the beach, Next Round hats to block out that sun. Up north in the winter, get you a comfy Next Round hoodie. Just need something to put your $20 beer in at a game? Get you a Next Round koozie and throw that thing in your pocket. You never know what stuff Jim's going to make me put in there next. Check it out. It's the Next Round store at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Spring weather is here, and our friends at Hemphill Services are offering a $69 HVAC tune-up plus 10% off any service call when you mention the Next Round. Call Adam, Chad, and the guys at Hemphill Services. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemphill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Hemphill Services. It's hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com. That's 205-229-2090. hemphillservices.com. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the Next Round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, Clay Travis with us in just a second. Part of our show today being brought to you by Greg from Pell City. Sometimes up on the roof, yesterday up on the beach. He sent us a picture from yesterday. Even Greg needs a vacation just like Santa Claus, but just like Santa, he loves to give you free stuff. That's a free no-cost roof inspection for his team, and they'll take care of you. 205-542-3531. Even though he's at the beach, you can call his cell number right now, 205-542-3531, and get on his schedule for that free no-cost roof inspection. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau. Insurance companies, best warranty. Insurance companies trust him. Best warranties in the business. Greg from Pell City on Facebook. It is Storm Restoration. Restoration Roofing.
All right, Clay Travis is the founder of Outkick. You also see him on Fox Sports at Clay Travis on Twitter. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What is up, Clay? How are you today?
Still trying to recover from another volunteer collapse in the swamp. That was an alarming loss. I think Tennessee and Alabama fans both did not leave the state of Florida games feeling like their team was in very good shape.
Where are you on Joe Milton right now?
I don't think the issues are. I feel a little bit like Tennessee and Alabama are somewhat similar in that the focus is obviously going to be a lot on the quarterback position. But for Tennessee, the game against Florida, the defense just didn't show in the first half. I mean, they were atrocious, indefensibly bad, in my opinion. And so much of Tennessee's offensive momentum is predicated on getting the offense actually on the field. I think they only ran like 11 or 12 plays in the whole first half against Florida because credit Billy Napier. I mean, Florida was running 14 and 15 play drives. They weren't really, for the most part, very explosive at all, but they were adding, 3-4 yards a play, and Tennessee couldn't get off the field on third down. I think Florida was like 10 for 11 or something like that on third downs in the first half, which is kind of unheard of, and it might have been 7 for 8, but it was something insane. So I think Joe Milton is like 7 or 8 on the issues of things that Tennessee fans need to be concerned about. And on the Alabama side, and I watched both games in entirety, the offensive line for Alabama is absolutely atrocious. So you can blame Buckner, Ty Simpson, or Jalen Milroe all you want for not being good enough, and I'm sure all those guys can be better. But I mean, South Florida dominated the Alabama offensive line, and there were a lot of snaps where the quarterback barely had any time to move before he was getting hit or having to dodge the first defender. So I don't think that Joe Milton or Jalen Milroe or whoever the starter is for Alabama is the bigger issue or the biggest issue for Tennessee or Alabama.
I never thought there would be a scenario that the SEC could miss a 4-team playoff. Do you think there's a scenario out there where the SEC, with the way the teams have looked so far, could miss a 4-team playoff?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Georgia didn't look. Did you watch the first half of that Georgia game against South Carolina? I mean, they looked awful. Frankly, I mean, look, I think Spencer Rattler may be the best quarterback in the SEC. I think that team at South Carolina has a lot of issues. But no, the one thing, if I'm a Georgia fan, that I'm happy about is certainly, 1, we're undefeated. 2, that schedule is really, really easy. And 3, who has actually stepped up, even if you don't think Georgia has played very well, who has stepped up and you look around and you're like, okay, this team looks like they could really give Georgia a run. I still think Tennessee and Knoxville can do it because Tennessee has been a very different team. You look at the last 3 losses for Tennessee, they're on the road at South Carolina, on the road at Georgia, and on the road at Florida. Tennessee's been a very different team at home and on the road. So I still think Tennessee could put some stuff together and give Georgia a run in Knoxville. But yeah, I think Georgia is the team. But look, I mean, the way they played against South Carolina at home, I think Georgia could have lost to 3 or 4 SEC teams at least in that game if you switch the opponent based on how they played. Now the one thing I'll say is I'm not sure how many good teams there are, period. It certainly seems like the Pac-12, which has, I think, 7 or 8 top 25 teams right now, has a lot of good teams, but we're still early, and those teams are going to start to play against each other and whack each other. But I think the big challenge for the SEC ultimately is usually at the end of the year, we come back and we say, okay, let's kind of figure out, let's tally up the value of that week 1 performance, that week 2 performance where somebody beat an out-of-conference foe. Not just at LSU, A&M, Florida, Alabama, and whoever the 5th team is that got whipped, South Carolina, I think. All 5 of those teams lost by double digits in out-of-conference games. And then you toss in this Tennessee performance against Florida. Again, other than Georgia, I would say the top half of the SEC looks really bad. And by the way, I'm not sure the bottom half looks very good either. So I think it's the weakest the SEC's been probably in 20 years.
Clay Travis with us, Fox Sports. He is the founder of Outkick as well, at Clay Travis on Twitter. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. To your point, You're in Dunaway's point there. I don't know if you were talking about going back and adding up like the week 1, week 2, week 3 wins. I don't know if this will come up at the end of the season, but the SEC's best out of conference win right now is Kansas State. Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz did everything he could to screw it up. They still somehow managed to hit a bomb of a field goal and beat Kansas State. That's their best win. That is amazing to think about.
Second best win is probably Tulane, which is even crazier.
I know.
So, there are not a lot of scalps, so to speak, in the SEC resume, bin. So, I just think it's going to be. Now we'll see. Look, I mean, there are going to be a lot of teams in the Pac-12. Usually, the Pac-12 gets crazy in October and November. I think actually, if you look at the Big Ten, it would not stun me if we end up in some sort of three-way tie between Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. Now, obviously, this weekend is big for that, because I think the toughest by far out-of-conference game that any of those teams play is Ohio State going up against Notre Dame this weekend, right? And I think Ohio State, at least when I was looking last night, was a 3.5-point favorite in that game. Notre Dame's a bit of an enigma. They've looked decent, but they really haven't been tested at a high level. So I'm curious to see how exactly that shakes out, but it wouldn't stun me if Notre Dame won that game at home. And then maybe that gets upset. But otherwise, I think you're looking at a potential round-robin situation where, those teams win against the team they play at home and lose against the team they play on the road. And then that's going to be, there's a scenario where 2 or 3 Big Ten teams could find their mix. And then obviously this weekend, Florida State, Clemson, that will go a long way towards kind of giving us an indication of what to expect in the ACC, because honestly, Florida State can almost end the Clemson's chances of being in the mix at all for the ACC championship and or the playoff. If they could win this weekend, I think they're a 2.5-point favorite.
Clay, last night we were doing a pre-Monday Night Football show, and I looked up on the ticker, and it said Phil Mickelson says he won't bet on NFL games this year. I don't give a shit, but I'm just wondering why that's such a headline right now. And when I read the article this morning, it was pretty interesting. 858 wagers of $220,000, over 1,100 wagers of $110,000, just over the period of 2010-2014. Said he bet over $1 billion over the past 3 decades.
That's a lot. Okay.
You think that's excessive?
Yeah. It's a lot, but when you add up every bet that's ever been made, it's going to look way more excessive than it actually was, right?
Yeah, like when you say, I think multiple people have asked you what you bet on a weekend, and I think you said upwards of $10,000, but if you're a $500 player, that's not crazy.
No. And also, let's say Phil Mickelson is not a good gambler. He potentially, let's say he's winning 40% of the time or 45% of the time. I mean, you'd have to be really, really bad to do much worse than that. And he probably had some years where he did better, right? So a lot of that money is the same money being wagered multiple times, right? So I understand people say, oh, my God, he wagered $1 billion. Well, if I added or you added up every dollar you've ever wagered on any sporting event in your life, I don't know what the number would be, but it would be very high. And then you also have to factor in it's all a reflection of what your worth is, right? Because Elon Musk could decide to gamble a lot more on Super Bowl than me, and it wouldn't even, what would Elon Musk have to gamble to even care? He's worth $200 billion or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, 25 million on a game.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say he might have to put, $100 million on a game to even care, for it to even register on his radar and that may not even be enough, right? So I think it has to be so substantial for some of these guys. I think Phil Mickelson's a billionaire now. So he's basically wagered in his life over his entire life of 30 years of being a professional athlete or whatever and having a lot of money. Now, I'm sure he probably would have more money if he hadn't gambled. In general, you never know what it is exactly that helps keep those guys edge. And by which I mean, sometimes when you're in a high stress environment like that, you need a release, something that takes your mind off of worrying about what you're going to shoot on, on the 16th hole of a Masters Sunday. And so anyway, I understand, like, you may decide if anytime you think you're doing something unhealthy, if you want to stop, like, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for making that choice, but I don't know that it's a breaking news story.
Clay Travis is with us. I got a great question about Deion Sanders after I tell you our friends at Milo's, reminding you that if the classic burger isn't enough with Milo's, you download their Milo's app. After your first purchase, you get the original cheeseburger for free. Stuff your face, earn free stuff. Download the Milo's app today and start earning rewards. The folks who own Blenders, the sunglass company, says since Deion came on board last week, $4.5 million in sales for the Blender sunglasses that I'm told the Prime 21 sells for $67. How much can Deion, as a head football coach, end up being almost in every commercial before the season's over with? Because it's starting to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, but I do think I'm assuming you guys probably stayed up late and watched that double overtime game like I did. I think Colorado is really going to get exposed the next 2 weeks. And they almost got exposed. I thought Colorado State, for the most part, outplayed Colorado. And Colorado State was, a 23, 24-point underdog. And they arguably should have won that game. I think it's going to get bad for Colorado in Eugene. Now, I do think the Dion angle that could make a lot of sense if you're, like, kind of playing it forward and contemplating how this could go. I think there's a lot of guys out there that are in the transfer portal era in which we live. I think there are going to be, 15 stud dudes who are like, hey, I want to go play for Dion in Boulder. And I think he'll recruit okay, but, usually you're not going to bring in recruits that are ready to be dominant players as true freshmen. I mean, that happens, but it's relatively rare. But I think he's going to do really well in the recruiting portal. And I don't know what you guys think. I mean, if I look at that Colorado schedule, I think they're going to end up something like 7-5. Would probably be the way that I would say. So a lot of that hype will diminish. I think over the next few weeks. I think it would have been taking a major hit if he had lost to Colorado State and then they go on the road and they lose by 20 or so, which I think is probably likely against Oregon. Then they come back home and get boat raced by USC. I think the balloon will be off the rose and everybody will be turning to a new story. But I do think that Dion will have vastly exceeded expectations in year one. It'll help him with the transfer portal, and we'll see what kind of situation Colorado is going to be in year two.
This is a wild TV number. You mentioned people watching the end of that game. That game did not end until 2:15 Eastern, 1:15 Central. At that time, 2:15 a.m. Sunday morning Eastern time, 1:15 Sunday morning Central time, there were 8.2 million people watching that game at that hour. That's insane.
And really, if Deion's not coaching, what do you think that number is? Half 500,000?
It's not a million.
I'm not even sure ESPN puts it on.
Yeah, it's on FS1.
I mean, honestly, they might have gone with that. I don't think they would have drafted it very high in the flow chart. The number that'll be really fun to watch, even after the Oregon loss. I mean, if they won and beat Oregon, it would be infinitely higher. I believe Fox has now officially announced that they've got SC Colorado.
Big noon kickoff.
For the big noon game in 2 weeks. So, first of all, USC doesn't play very often at that time, right? So I would imagine you're going to get a lot of West Coast, because SC's the biggest brand on the West Coast. A lot of West Coast people will be up eating breakfast watching that game. And then you're going to have the continued push marketing-wise, and I think there will be a truly monumental audience for that game.
Yeah. By the way, that number, 8.2 million, beat every single thing except for the NFL and one other show. Do you know what other show beat it?
60 Minutes.
60 Minutes, which also had Deion Sanders on it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And 60 Minutes gets an NFL lead in. That's almost an unfair comparison, but Deion was obviously on the show.
Yeah, that's why they get the number that they do.
No doubt. Clay, thank you very much, man. Have a great week.
All right, we'll do. I'll see y'all.
All right, see you. Clay Travis with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
Also, the show being brought to you by our great friends at Harbin's Outdoors. We were having a conversation about Harbin's and what they can do for you in a variety of things before the show even started.
Yeah, Harbin's Outdoors, award-winning landscape company specializing in installing custom fiberglass pools, landscaping, hardscaping. Jeremy and his team, one-stop shop for your pool construction needs. Harbin's does it all, from the install to the lighting, final hardscapes around the pool, everything in between. It's beautiful work. You can find them on Instagram at Harbins_outdoors. See it for yourself. Call or text Jeremy directly, 205-300-0718. That's 205-300-0718.
Did you guys see Kyle Schwarber knock it out of Truist Park last night?
I did not.
He knocked it all the way out of the ballpark in the top of the sixth inning there. Leaves the stadium. It was a monster shot. Close to the playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks. Braves don't have to worry about anything. The Phillies are still fighting for a wild card spot. More baseball today. Tampa Bay, my Rays. It looks like they're about to announce a new stadium, $1.2 billion stadium that'll be open in 2028. I don't like it because it's staying in St. Pete. I wanted it to move across the long bridge. If you've ever been down there, Tampa to St. Pete, there's one bridge, and it prevents a lot of people in Tampa from going to games in St. Pete because of the traffic. That little sort of pointed roof thing, fixed dome in the far distance there at the end of the creek, that's going to be the new stadium. They're going to build all that up. It's an 86-acre project, much like they have at Truist Park with bars and restaurants around it. But it's still in St. Pete with all your buildings and population on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, it's strangely outside of Turner Field and Old Fulton County, the second most stadium that I've been to in Major League Baseball is the Trop.
Right.
And I think it's been 14, 15 years ago the last time I went, and it was a shithole then.
Yeah, you know where I really thought they were going to build that stadium?
Down by the hockey.
Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I thought they'd moved to Nashville.
Yeah, I'm really surprised it's even still in mid-Florida.
I mean, all the way back to our AM days, that's where I wanted Tampa Bay to move. I wanted my team to move to Nashville.
I'm surprised they're not.
And they're not doing it. They're going to build that. They finally got the funding for it, $1.2 billion. Fixed dome, 30,000 seats is all it's going to hold. That'll be a sellout, 30,000.
Will it be a sellout?
Well, I mean, that's all it will
That's
take
what
to
we'll
sell
take
it out.
when the Yankees are in town,
Yeah, when the Yankees are there.
Yeah, so 30,000. So they're going to stay there in St. Pete. I just hate that it's still across the big, long bridge because hockey draws well, the Bucks draw well, but both those arenas and stadiums are in Tampa.
Yeah, that's a commute. I remember back in the day, I was staying in Tampa on the other side of the bridge going to an Orioles-Rays game, and my cab one way, this is before Uber, $70.
Yeah, and then just for a weeknight game, when you're having to go over there with traffic that is leaving, stuck on that bridge, no thank you. No thank you. Our friends at Wayne's, they've been celebrating 50 years. They don't really need a new anything because they've been doing business right for 50 years, but they're always giving you new products like the unbelievable lawn care, which, by the way, it's really good this time of year to sign up with the Wayne's Lawn Care because you want to get nutrients in the ground with fall coming, winter coming. So next year in 2024, you have the best lawn. Celebrating 50 years with Wayne's is easy to do. You just go to callwaynes.com, callwaynes.com, and their way of saying thank you, they want to give you $50 off pest control and termite protection. Get that at callwaynes.com. Happy anniversary, Wayne's. Callwaynes.com. When we come back, 4 downs and a lot more right here on TNR.
Follow Dunaway on Twitter and Instagram at Jim Dunaway.
You hear a lot of interesting phrases while playing golf, like, I think you're on the beach, or the classic, you gotta hit it, Alice. One word you're sure to hear right now at Bentbrook Golf Club is wow. Brand new carts with complimentary GPS, and the bent grass greens are so consistent, you just might drain a few more putts, Alice. Tee it up and find out for yourself. Book around today at bentbrook.com or call 428-1999. It's better at Bentbrook.
If you're looking for a fun golf atmosphere that is laid back with a peaceful environment, the Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280, is perfect for you. Just a short drive from Birmingham, this 18-hole, 200-acre track with rolling fairways and ample greens is the definition of peacefulness of the country just miles from the city. Enjoy a great lunch before your round and a cocktail on the wraparound porch after 18. Come see us today. The Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280.
There are so many things I love about Walk-Ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-Ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with Walk-Ons.
You have all heard of Red Wing Shoes, but what is Red Wing Shoes? It's the place where men buy boots, plain and simple. Who are Red Wing's customers? They are construction workers, warehouse employees, college students, the guy that fixes your AC, the guy at the end of the bar, the IT guy. Red Wing is a father, Red Wing is a son, Red Wing is a cult following shared by all men. A classic, comfortable pair of cool boots with a story to tell. What's your Red Wing story? Red Wing Shoe Stores, located in Pelham and Trussville. The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
It's time to get out and enjoy the summer of 2023. Ocean City, Maryland, and your hotel family at Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City is ready to welcome you. Kayak from our Bayside Beach, swim in the Atlantic, dine at our Bayview Bar and Grill, span the 2.5-mile-long Ocean City Boardwalk, and a lot more. See all this plus irresistible summer deals and packages online at residenceinnoc.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Do something different this summer. Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City, Maryland.
Hey, back with you on the next round.
I don't think that was the story.
No, it was a story.
Okay.
That's what I saw this morning.
Great tease right there.
It's for trash if it's true.
Yeah. Our friends at Mickelson Laser Vision bringing you this look into the future. It's what UAB basketball did yesterday. They looked into the future and say, man, we don't want any future without Andy Kennedy. They signed our buddy Andy Kennedy up at least $1 million a year all the way through 2029. Our buddy Andy, millionaire, man.
I love him, man.
Yeah, I do too.
It's
What a great
move.
call by them.
Yep.
I tweeted out, man, make it a lifetime contract, at least my lifetime. Make it that long.
Yeah.
I don't want any other coach at UAB other than AK.
Don't have to be a millionaire to get LASIK. Again, if you're wearing the contacts or the glasses, you're wasting money each and every year. I'm speaking from experience.
Leave it to professionals.
Wow.
205-969-8100. That is the number. Call. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. They're going to hook you up with a free consultation. You've got zero to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. Dr. Mark Mickelson, Dr. Jim Mickelson, best in the business. Make the call that I made over 2 decades ago. I've still got 2015 vision, better than 2020. 205-969-8100 or online, michelsonlaservision.com.
Our upset alert is about 45 minutes away today. We'll find out if the Brown Bandit still has access to the building after another win.
2 straight right there. I think it's, I think if I heard correctly, that's, this is going to sound amazing. It's going to sound amazing. I get that. 14 of his last 17.
14 of his last
Pretty
17.
incredible.
That's an incredible
Now,
run
I should
right
have 3 straight to start the season, but Texas Tech meltdown against Oregon.
Yeah, well, one of us does have 3 straight
losses.
Your boy.
Oh yeah, losses.
0-3.
Oh.
3 straight losses. Hey, I'm going to saddle up and try again this weekend.
That's the only way you can do it.
Hey, and I may stay perfect. That coming up in about 45 minutes, and we'll see if the Brown Bandit makes another appearance. But right now it is time for 4 Downs. It's brought to you by our great friends at Slice. Wonderful place to go for lunch or dinner or to carry out, LT.
Yeah, 4 great locations for you. The original in Lakeview, one in Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park, created by the late Jeff Bajai. He's the one that brought this concept to Birmingham. His brothers continue his legacy. Get out, see Jason and Chris. Make sure you tell them the next round sent you. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
All right, I have written these, most of them anyway. Surprised myself for popping them in right now. More points this weekend. Cal-Oregon game or Iowa-Penn State, UCLA-Utah combined?
Wait, one more time. Cal-Oregon.
Cal-Oregon total or the combination of 2 games.
Well, Cal-Washington are playing.
Excuse me, Colorado.
Okay.
I can't read my writing here. Colorado, Oregon.
All right.
Colorado, Oregon. The total in that game.
It's 71 at mybookie.ag.
Or combined Iowa, Penn State, and UCLA, Utah in Salt Lake City.
I would have to go with the combo of Iowa and Penn State because I think at least there's going to be 35-ish points there, and Utah and UCLA could end up being a shootout.
That total,
you think so?
Could be.
That total is at 51. I'm trying to find the Iowa-Penn State total, which is 40.5. So you got a total of, it's crazy it's this close, though. A combined total of 91 versus a total of 71.
I'll still take the combined total of 91.
I think I would take the combined total of 91. That's the Vegas total now at mybookie.ag.
What is UCLA, Utah's total?
51.
51.
That's a low total.
If I asked you
two.
two best defenses in the Pac-12.
Oh, gosh.
I think I would go Washington and Utah.
Yeah. I think UCLA's defense a little underrated.
Yeah, I don't
Cam
disagree.
Rising could be back. Probably will be back. We'll see if he's back. If he's not, that keeps it a little low.
Yeah, Utah's favored 4 at home in this one.
Yeah. Tight combination there for that one. Let's do second down.
Second down.
Better out-of-conference wins so far. The ACC or all the other Power 5 conferences combined.
Like your best win?
Yeah, the best wins, all of them. Because I'll give them to you here. Here's the ACC right now. They've got LSU, they've got Texas A&M, they've got South Carolina, they got Minnesota to start with. Other conferences, the SEC has Kansas State, Big 12, Texas has Alabama, Pac-12's got Florida, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, TCU, Michigan State, some name brands but not good teams.
It's probably the ACC.
Is the ACC better?
Who was the Big Ten?
Now that you've sold that.
Big Ten, I don't think has any.
That's what I was trying to think of. Who's the biggest Big Ten out of conference win?
Well, what about the Pac-12 though?
I just said the Pac-12. Florida, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, TCU, Michigan State. That's
a lot of them.
That is, but Florida, even though they're a top 25 team, probably a 4-loss team, 3-loss team. Texas Tech's already lost twice. Wisconsin, what are they going to end up being? TCU, we know what they are. Michigan State's bad.
Yeah.
Those are brands.
Yeah, I'll go ACC.
I mean, LSU, Texas A&M, Minnesota, South Carolina.
I had not stopped to think about this, but there is a chance the Big Ten's best non-conference wins West Virginia. You forced me to stop and think about this, Dunaway. I'm going to dig through it just real quick here. I think it is. I think it's West Virginia, guys. Is that a good win for you?
I mean, Ohio State has a chance at Notre Dame this week.
Yeah, I mean, that'll change things, obviously. Tell me, Lance, is West Virginia or Iowa State better? Which one's better? Because Iowa beat Iowa State. I mean, it's a bad game if they play. I think it might be West Virginia.
Yeah, I think I would lean West Virginia.
Who just beat Pitt. Dunaway, as I look at this, I think that's their best non-conference win. I think their best non-conference win is Penn State beating, unless I have just completely whiffed and missed one, Penn State beating West Virginia. And when we talk about how bad it is for the SEC, I have not ever said it's that bad for the Big Ten, but it is just as bad, if not worse. At least the SEC, at least Missouri beat Kansas State.
They just haven't lost because they haven't played any meaningful big out-of-conference
They really
games.
haven't until this weekend. Now, I'll give credit for Ohio State going to Notre Dame. If they win that one, that's the easy call.
Yep.
Third down.
Okay, SMU will not be taking media rights from the ACC for 9 years. They will get college football playoff or NCAA tournament distributions, but no media rights. Their boosters have committed to raising possibly $100 million a year to make up for that, just to cover the media rights. They raised $200 million, by the way, just since they announced they're going to the ACC. They've got billionaires as boosters. SMU, number of ACC football championship games they'll be in the 9 years they're not taking first-tier media rights.
I'll give them 1.
Yeah, I would like to say 0, but I can't completely slam the door shut.
I'll throw 1 out there.
I'll throw 1.
You don't think they can get the old pony access?
I would just say this. They when was the death penalty? Mid 80s?
Yep.
I mean, how many top 10 finishes do they have since?
Well, I mean, the death penalty basically,
Oh, I get that, but I mean, hell, they've still got that money, and they haven't had anything for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, tell me from the Bible, what does Lazarus do after he comes back to life? Does he have a lot of success after that?
He kind of disappears, to be honest.
Yeah, he really does.
He opens a bakery, doesn't he?
I mean, hey,
my resurrection rolls.
Yeah, I mean, he came back.
Yeah.
But we don't know if he had any success afterwards. That's sort of been SMU. They've been the Lazarus of college
but
football.
I just don't know how much is going to change with them going to the ACC.
With their money, they've rolled out Craig James and Eric Dickerson in their promotional campaign this year to stir up money for their NIL. They're embracing what got them the death penalty years ago.
I've always had a soft spot for SMU. I wanted my daughter to go to school there, but she did not want to go all the way out to Dallas. So
Only time she's ever disappointed you.
No, she did not disappoint me at all. But I wanted her to at least consider SMU, but Dallas was a bridge too far for her.
The great value uniforms. The South Alabama uniforms are virtually the SMU
You're absolutely
uniforms.
right.
Yeah.
She picked the she picked the SMU of Alabama. But I'm still going to say one. I do love their approach here, though. I think this is a bold approach by them, and I applaud them for doing it. They're basically like, how can we get in a Power 5 conference? Well, this is the only way. Sign us up. We're in. We're not going to
just because you have a good NIL doesn't mean that doesn't equate to championship.
It does not. It does not. But I mean, they got a better shot at it this way than they did doing it the way they were doing it.
Yeah, I will. I'll agree with you guys that won in 9 years. There you go.
4th down.
Happy birthday, Jimmy Fallon. Happy heavenly birthday to Adam West, Batman, 2017. He passed
Adam
away.
West.
What did I say, Adam West?
I thought he said Adam West.
If you're gonna compare it to Adam
Jimmy
West.
Fallon, Adam West.
Yeah, anybody over Jimmy Fallon.
Better career, Jimmy Fallon or Adam West?
You didn't even ask the question, Jeff.
I mean, he's a one-hit wonder. What
Who,
else
Adam
did
West?
Adam
He
West
was on the
do?
Family Guy. He did a lot of voice work. But a one-hit wonder is Batman's pretty good one-hit wonder.
Oh, but Jimmy Fallon's hosting a late night show. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, he was part of
But
some
he's-
mystery fifth hour. I was doing
but
the
he's a
other day.
dildo too. So.
He's hosting late night shows when they don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the
Jimmy Fallon's awful.
worst era of the late night show.
Very popular on social media.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
In movie roles. I don't know if he's a producer in those or
Fever
not.
Pitch, man.
Fever Pitch.
Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
So I'm not a Fallon fan.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
He's terrible.
Big Bang Theory is simply just a reoccurring role, dude.
He's not in Big Bang Theory.
He showed up there one time as Adam West. He just basically
I
played his
Jimmy
role.
Fallon.
It does Jimmy Fallon.
You know, everybody dogged out Ellen, saying the work environment was really toxic.
Yeah, I've seen this.
People that have been around Jimmy Fallon said they walked on eggshells, that he was awful to work with.
Yeah, he got killed recently, and people
So not
saying-
only is he a nerd, but the guy is also a dick.
The disrespect for Jimmy Fallon. I can watch he and Justin Timberlake do the history of music and rap all the time on social media.
Does Fallon ever get cracked up doing it?
He always sings. He's a great singing laugher at the same time. That is our 4 Downs today, brought to you by our friends at Slice, and also in part today by our friend Dr. B. The guy's got LT's hair dialed in perfect.
Yeah, I almost went hatless today.
The change in season's perfect for LT because he's about to be by some bonfires, fireplaces with that hair flowing.
Y'all got a
ready to
bonfire
go.
coming up? The
I
cul-de-sac?
haven't been next to a bonfire in 20, 25 years.
What do you call it when you light up that fireplace by your
an outdoor fireplace? Yeah, just an outdoor fire.
That's just a fancy bonfire.
Bonfire.
It's a fancy bonfire.
Dr. B, though, offering that Sensus Transdermal Infuser. This enables Dr. B to get various medicines and therapies into the scalp where the hair follicles are without using any injections. This is revolutionary, as Dr. B can pinpoint delivery of his patients, genetically specific products without needles. Again, my hair has more than doubled in thickness since I went to see Dr. B. I did the non-invasive treatment on the couch last night for 30 minutes. That's all I'm doing. T3hair.net for more information, or call 205-319-0316.
All right. In the NFL news, we talked earlier about LT getting another win last night, 1-0-1, a push on the Carolina game. Lanceslock.com, you can play that. Kansas City, because of new contracts to Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert, they reworked Patrick Mahomes' contract. Patrick Mahomes, in 2023 through 2026, these 4 years, will make the most money ever in NFL history. He'll get $210.6 million guaranteed money in just these 4 years. His contract goes through 2031. But with his annual salary, if he had not had this reworked to put more money out there every year, he had dropped to 8th in NFL contracts year to year.
Well, I mean, he should be the highest paid. I mean, he's got multiple MVPs. He's got multiple Super Bowl rings. But if you want to have a good supporting cast around, you got to take a little bit of a hit. I mean, he's in top 5 when it comes to average salary per year at $52.5 million. I mean, hell, I don't know when enough is enough. And I am surprised as much as the NFL kills it. I mean, we're going to come up on a time when somebody's making $75 million a year.
At one point you asked the question, would it be easier to pay you less and give you a percentage of the franchise?
I mean, really? I mean, think about it. $75 million. I mean, was that like the entire like all salaries of go back to 28 teams, like in the mid 70s, 80s.
Oh, that'd be the whole league.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem with this story, though, is we saw that team without Travis Kelce
and Chris Jones.
Well, but primarily without Travis Kelce on offense. Who was he throwing to, right? And I don't know if you've noticed, they're not scoring a ton of points right now.
17, right?
17 in Jacksonville, who's got a good defense, obviously. 20 in the season opener against Rockstars Lions in their loss. It's 37 points in 2 weeks. They normally score a little more than that. You start taking away weapons, and it becomes a thinner margin for him.
Yeah, sometimes you maybe not take any upfront money, make it long-term money, and that helps you at the end. One more Alabama power fact for you here involving one red-hot quarterback who is putting up a lot of points, one of LT's favorites. Alabama Power making it easier than ever for you right now to manage your payments with digital wallet right there. You have to pay that power bill. Don't have to go to the old power store, the Alabama Power offices like you used to. You can pay online, many options. And now you can use different methods like Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, Venmo, and more. It's easy, secure. All you have to do is go online and sign up at alabamapower.com/account, alabamapower.com/myaccount to get started. LT, you love you some Michael Penix. Through 3 games, he's on top of the world, doing something that hasn't been done in college football since 2016. Michael Penix, 1,332 passing yards through just 3 games.
That's a lot.
That's the most since 2016 when Patrick Mahomes did it at Texas Tech.
And an air raid offense, by the way.
And a team that I don't think got to a bowl game.
Yeah, I know, but they were playing from behind all the time, so they had to throw all the time. And this is Michael Penix doing it on a team that's crushing opponents. They crushed Boise. They crushed Michigan State when the Spartans phoned it in, one of Rockstar's greatest headlines of all time. I mean, this is amazing what he's doing right now. I think if I had to vote for the Heisman right now, I think it'd be Michael Penix.
And if I read this correctly, that same year, another quarterback did the same number through 3 games, and he was at Cal.
No, I think it was Anthony Gordon at Washington State.
You were saying it was Aaron Rodgers?
No, it was Davis Webb.
Davis Webb?
Who had left Texas Tech in 2015 and went to Cal and had a great start to that season at Cal. 2016, that's the kind of numbers Michael Penix has put up through 3 games.
He's in his 6th year of football.
I know.
I mean, he's got a ton of experience. He stays healthy. He had one bad year, and that was in 2021, his last year in Indiana.
I would have Washington in my top 5, and Penix would be my leading Heisman. I mean, you don't vote for the Heisman after 3 weeks, but if I did, it'd be Michael Penix. I don't know where else I'd go.
Yeah, I probably would go Caleb Williams, but Michael Penix would be number 2.
Maybe.
Shedeur would be number 3.
Shedeur would be certainly in there, yeah.
All right. We will talk more about the big games coming up this weekend, including Ohio State and Notre Dame, the biggest one of them all. And, of course, Alabama and Auburn trying to get SEC wins as those plays, that part of the season get started. Show being brought to you in part today by our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Tell us about Johnston RV, Brownie.
Well, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur is where you're going to find them, first of all, Jim. Second of all, you might wonder, what's the best-selling RV in America? I'd like to have the best-selling one. Well, it's Cherokee. That's the best-selling brand in America. Well, what about Alabama? Also Cherokee. Well, who's the leading dealer of Cherokee in Alabama? Of course, it's Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 Decatur. Ask about that lifetime warranty. It's on all new campers and used campers under 2 years old or newer. Those Cherokees starting at just $199 a month. That's nothing. $199 a month. Go see more. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Don't miss your chance to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Open 24/7, so come on in for non-stop gaming action. You'll find the latest, hottest, most exciting games around. And you'll love the fun bonuses and big jackpots. Plus, you can watch and wager on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Birmingham Racecourse Casino off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short-notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
It's NBA time, Birmingham, as we hoop it up with the New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets, October 12th at Legacy Arena. Single game tickets are now available. Visit birminghamsquadron.com or call 205-719-0850 for more information or to buy tickets. And the game is packed with former local players like Herb Jones and Kyra Lewis Jr. and Jabari Smith, and other superstars like Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. You can also become a Squadron season ticket holder to get complimentary tickets to this huge event right here in the Magic City. The Pelicans preseason game in Birmingham sold out last year, so get your tickets as soon as possible. Do that online at birminghamsquadron.com or by calling 205-719-0850. October 12th, it's the Pelicans and Rockets at Legacy Arena right here in Birmingham. birminghamsquadron.com. On cue, like we were discussing in 4 Down, Brett McMurphy sending out non-conference records versus Power 5 opponents. The Pac-12 is 7-3 right now, 70% winning. ACC is 8-8 as a conference. The Big 12 is 6-6. The SEC is 5-7. The Big 10 is 5-8 against Power 5 opponents so far this year.
You want one step further though on the Big 12.
That's not being reported, by the way. The Big 10's sorry, it's been the SEC is down.
So much so that I just had to dig through to see what their best win was, and it's West Virginia. But you mentioned, Jim, versus non-conference Power 5 teams, the Big 12 is 6-6. Do you know that group of 5 or FCS losses, the Big 12's got 6
in
this non-conference?
3 this past week against the G5.
The SEC only had 1. The Big 10 had 1. The Pac-12 had 2. The ACC had 2. The Big 12 has 6. 6 group of 5 or FCS losses.
The one in the SEC was Vandy UNLV.
Vandy UNLV, yeah.
So
and Vandy could have won that game too. They kind of let that game get away.
I know you're Jimmy SEC, and so you pull for the conference. I don't know how many people out there are like that. But if you do pull for the conference, is it one of those you don't need to get caught up in wanting Georgia to lose a game? Because you asked the question to Clay Travis. I mean, the SEC through 3 weeks, I mean, that's been one of the major stories in college football.
But it depends on who you are. If I'm Alabama, as long as I've only got my 1 loss here to Texas, I'm fine. You know, if I'm Auburn,
I get that, but do you believe that – I mean, how many teams right now in the SEC do you believe only have 1 loss or less?
I might just say the 1.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's it. Right now, the AP poll is Georgia, and then you got to go all the way to number 12. LSU, 13 Alabama, 15 Ole Miss, 23 Tennessee, 25 Florida. Still a lot of SEC teams, But I can't remember the last time there was a gap between
I agree.
one
It's normally
all the way to
top
number
10
12.
was littered with 3 or 4
It
every
used to be
year.
4 or 5 out of the top 10 easily, and you're right. It is a big drop. And I honestly don't think Georgia deserves to be number 1. I think that's only on reputation that they're number 1
Again,
right now.
Pac-12 has 4 in the top 11.
Yeah.
UAB in Athens this weekend. We're in Talladega coming up September 30th and October 1st for the Yellowwood 500 NASCAR playoff race. Also the Craftsman Truck Series on Saturday. That's a playoff race. Then you go with Hardy in concert on Saturday night, and then we all watch the greatest drivers in the world on NASCAR Sunday at Talladega, the Yellowwood 500. See the 200-mile-per-hour door-handle-to-door handle racing right now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for your tickets, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com for tickets. I played this soundbite for you back in the summer. I'll play it again for you now because it is Colorado week for Oregon, and Dan Lanning was asked about it yesterday. Here's Dan Lanning back on July 31st, a couple of days after it was announced Colorado was leaving the Pac-12 to go back to the Big 12. And remember, Oregon at this point was going to be left behind in the Pac-12. Here's Dan Lanning.
Can I just get your initial reaction when you heard about the news of Colorado leaving? And does these changes change the approach or your attitude as far as the coming this season?
Not a big reaction. I mean, I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. I don't remember. You remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything.
So Dan said that on July 31st. So here comes Dion in Colorado.
They made it personal. We were just going to go play the game.
For the record, Oregon's never won a national championship,
they
right?
haven't. No,
they have.
I don't think they have.
What they
Really?
co-champions in 1990? Georgia Tech and
No,
Colorado?
Oregon. No,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Oregon has
Colorado
okay.
has. That's what I was.
Colorado actually
well,
has,
Colorado's
yeah.
actually won a national championship. Coach.
Yeah. So here, but again, they were Big 12 then, where they're going back. So you knew it was going to happen because Colorado, in fact, at ESPN.com, there's a running story on who the motivation is each week for Dion in Colorado, and they list who it was in week 1.
Here we go again.
Here it was in week 2. Here it was in week 3, and now here we are for week 4. It was those comments back on July 31st. They made it personal. They made it.
Yep, they made it. We were just going to go play the game, but they made it personal.
No, you got to do it the way Dion. What'd they go and do? They made it.
What? They made it personal.
Yeah, they did what?
They made it personal. Talking all that bull junk.
Yeah. So here's Dan Lanning. He gets asked about it yesterday.
Just given the way that Deion's used a lot of bulletin board material, do you regret at all what you said at Oregon Media Day back in August?
Double down.
No, I don't regret anything that I've said, for this program. At the end of the day, obviously, I wasn't talking about Deion's team. I'm talking about the past and the future for our team. But if that serves as material for them, great, right? I don't think it's going to have any bearing on the game and the success of the game.
Well, I like that answer.
Yeah.
I like that answer.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Because Oregon is going to dick whip them.
Give it to me again and turn it up, Rockstar. Put it on a 10. Do you still say that? Turn it up to a 10.
Just given the way that Deion's used a lot of bulletin board material, do you regret at all what you said at Oregon Media Day back in August?
No, I don't regret anything that I've
That's all I need.
said.
No, I don't
for
regret
this
it.
program.
I don't regret it.
Yep.
Can you pull my bookie.ag real quick?
I can, Lance.
See if you can give
What
me
would you
a
like?
team total on Oregon. I'm going to assume it's 41.5, 42. Again, I think they score 60-plus this weekend.
60-plus.
Yeah.
If they score 60-plus with what will be a huge audience, because Brown has told you every week, Colorado's been 2-2-1 in television ratings. This one will be huge because it's a meaningful game, 2:30 on ABC.
I'll have it on the big over Ole Miss, Alabama.
Oregon's point total, you think, is what?
42.
45.
45.
Lay it.
If they put that up, could you imagine? I don't know. Jeff says Bo Nix ain't scoring 60. You're not paying attention.
They've already scored 81.
Right now, a Heisman Trophy candidacy is flying. In fact, T-shirts.
Now, he might be number 1 after this weekend. Now, I think he'll come back to life, but
Ducks of a Feather is the NIL collective out there, and Forrester's about to show us what they're now selling for $30. The Duck had it on.
Oh, my gosh.
Bodacious T-shirts.
Boy, they are all in on trying to win this guy the Heisman. It's wild.
Ducks of a Feather, the apparel line that runs the Oregon-focused NIL collective division, has released Bodacious T-shirts. It's another move in the Knicks Heisman campaign, priced at $30. Profits go back to Oregon athletes. Bo giving back and giving points right now. You think Bo will look better at quarterback than Shedeur this weekend?
I love how Jeff says they ain't scoring 60. They're averaging 58 through 3 games.
I mean, this is the best defense they're going to face, though, easily.
I don't know.
And
Texas
you think
Tech
is better?
Yeah.
And it was on the road, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that was on the road.
Tech's better.
Yeah.
Texas Tech would beat Colorado by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I mean, this is easy money. I'm going on and telling you, this is the easiest money you will make.
21?
The
You
21.
have yet to have a-
I even think more so because I could see Oregon get up like 49-14 at halftime, and then they start chipping away in the second half.
I don't think at Lance'sLock.com you've had a 10-unit pick this year. Am I correct on that?
No, I have not had anything over a 5.
You've not even had over a 5-unit pick. So you've not seen anything this football season that you're like, I feel so good about it. This is Florida State, NC State. What year was that? Florida State, NC State?
Oh, 2014, I think.
2014, whatever it was. This is Florida State, NC State, 2014 level. That's the
USC,
most confident I've ever seen you in a game.
Utah.
Most confident I've ever seen you still, though, was Florida State, NC State in 2014.
I think you asked me, and I think I told you after that I felt like USC. That's when Utah was number 1 or number 2.
Yep.
They were getting 3 points to USC. USC steamrolled.
In the Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
You're to that level on this Oregon-Colorado game?
I am.
So this is a 10-unit play for you.
Can you go over 10? Can you go 20?
No,
is it a 20-unit play?
I'm just telling people, I just had a conversation with Buddy Dustin out in the hall, and he's like, I don't think this thing's going to go down. Should I go on and hammer it at 21? And I'm like, why not? And that team total is easy money.
All right. There's Lance's early play.
I haven't seen Bad Bo at Oregon. Maybe it is coming, but I don't see it against this Colorado defense. I think there's a better chance Bo has a total of 8 touchdowns than having Bad Bo come out.
Colorado's been magical so far.
They have.
Yeah. Every time somebody doubts them, they end up winning.
Well, they did win.
Saturday night.
They were down 11 in the second half to that team.
To a team that they were 3 touchdown favorites. Well, not quite 3, was it? 2.5.
Oh, it was over 3.
What was that total? What was the number on that game? 24?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, so they're 3 touchdown favorites, and we treat it like they came from behind to beat the 49ers. I mean, they came from behind to beat Colorado State. And Colorado State was the better team.
You're right. It wasn't the 49ers. It was just the Rams.
It's just the Rams.
Real quick, Goose is wrong. The most confident, I did not bet my left nut. I bet my left nut that UFC would score like 65 that night.
That is true.
Yeah, I did not like them in the Pac-12 championship.
That was just last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been nutless for almost a year now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hey, our friends at the University of Montevallo want to remind you. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you about our friends at Hemp Hill because that was Lance's lock there for the weekend. Is that the free one you're going to give out right there, Oregon?
I might give multiple out this week.
Okay,
I just feel like we've been giving away money at Lance'sLock.com.
Lance'sLock.com, brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill for all your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs. Trust the name Birmingham's trusted since 1954. Hemp Hill Services, 205-229-2090, 229-2090, and by our friends at the University of Montevallo. If you're looking for a great place like my daughter, place for them or your son or daughter to go to school, Montevallo is a great choice. Just take a look at it. Montevallo.edu, 23 Division II fully funded scholarship sports, and a lot more. Great Greek life, broadcasting school, multi-million-dollar theater department, great teaching school there. It's the University of Montevallo. Schedule that in-person tour right now, including finding out about that tuition price, which is spot on good for what you're getting there, a great education at a great price. It's the University of Montevallo, montevallo.edu. As we make our way to the top of the hour, a couple of notes yesterday involving SEC teams. Will Rogers called a players-only meeting at Mississippi State after the loss. So they, too, put them on
we got 2 players-only meetings in the SEC.
Alabama and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Players-only.
I don't know what State was going to say in theirs. Guys, listen to me. Let's don't play LSU again, okay?
Ladd McConkey, probably not going to play against UAB for Georgia.
UAB is a 41-point underdog. I think Georgia will be okay.
Upset alert coming up here in about 13 minutes.
You going to take the Blazers?
Unique back injury is the way Kirby described it.
A unique back injury?
Unique back injury.
I wonder in what way.
Back injury, yes. That's
unique.
Yeah.
I don't know
what it is.
Moving furniture, that's not real unique.
And Frank Harris, turf toe, still questionable as UTSA goes to Tennessee. Hard to get a feel for that game if he's not 100% and if he's not playing.
But if he is not playing, I asked Peter Burns about this yesterday on the Burnout, which will be our show that airs after us in overtime today. You can get it at Disrupt the Media on YouTube. All the links in the comments section or all the links in the show description here if you're watching us on YouTube right now. If Frank Harris is not playing, and I don't know that you'll know that until game time, obviously, I think it's a bit of an overreaction for Tennessee fans to want to see Nico right now over Joe Milton, but this is your last chance to do it. I mean, would you give him some good snaps just to see what you got against UTSA?
Yeah, really, for the record, I don't think and this is one of the teams I made a mistake on drafting in the Calcutta, because I told you guys before the season I thought they were going to be the best of the Group 5. And this team is nothing without Frank Harris. And I think that turf toe is going to bother him the entire year. He's already lost a tackle, and it just hasn't come together. And a 1-2 start is the last thing they needed. Now it's going to be 1-3.
But would you do that? Would you get a look at Nico? Do you think it's an overreaction?
No, if I was up in the second half, 3 touchdowns, I would definitely get a look.
Yeah.
Feels like Nick Saban sort of did that to see what he had this week against USF.
And that's my point. This is your last chance to do that, Jim, if you're Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's upcoming slate after they play UTSA is South Carolina, good enough to beat them. I mean, South Carolina's good enough to beat Tennessee, when you say.
Yep.
Texas A&M, good enough to beat them. At Alabama, certainly good enough to beat them. At Kentucky, good enough to beat them. You don't get another breather until UConn, then it's too late.
Yep.
So if you want to get a good look at him, this is your chance to do it.
All right, top of the hour. When we come back, we'll talk some more college football, including you'll hear from Lane Kiffin on what he sees on the offensive side of football at Alabama. Lane talking yesterday. And Jimbo Fisher on what it's like to coach against Hugh Freeze. That's coming up in our next segment, along with our upset alert. 1 more hour to go live today, and then the burnout, as Brownie said, when we're done at 12 noon today, you'll get a sneak peek on everything you get at Disrupt the Media. Disrupt the Media YouTube channel, War Damn Pods, Roll Tide Pods. Subscribe to all those so you can get up all that content. And Michigan State made a decision. All that is coming up as we roll on here on the show that's brought to you in part by our friends at Bud Light. Don't forget Thursday night game night's back. We're at the Grocery Pub. For those that have never been there, where is that?
So the Grocery Pub is, I think it's Reed Street in Homewood. It's by the old Animal Clinic. It's by the Battery. So it's downtown Homewood.
Yeah.
A little off downtown Homewood, right off of...
It's in that little L. It's got a coffee shop, and the Battery's there.
Yeah, so it's between downtown Homewood and Homewood Park.
Yeah.
And,
easy to find.
And it's a great place.
Sounds like
it really is.
I mean, the directions aren't
Put
amazing.
it in your GPS.
Yeah. Why don't you just put it in the old ways and it'll take you right
But
there.
hey,
let's all meet up here and we'll drive you over.
Favorite things is Bud Light game night. So looking forward to this Thursday at the Grocery, 5 to 7. And we've got good football coming on after that.
It's 3 blocks off of Main and Homewood, right before you get to Homewood Park. And it's in the L, right there where the Battery's located. That's the brewery right there, Grocery Pub. You can't miss it.
And there you go.
2823 Central Avenue. Is that into 35209?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pop that in your ways. It'll take you right there.
We're back in a moment right here on TNR.
Follow Sean Lunsford on Twitter @JLuntz.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items, and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention Next Round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali. There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour. 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with walk-ons.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Biggest weekend of college football so far this year. A ton of good games, a lot of top 25 matchups. We'll talk more about that and get to our upset alert all in this segment. Jim, Lance, and Ryan. Rockstar, Tyler, Forrester, Lunsford on the back row back there. Taylor Korn handling everything with social media today, and in our command center at Next Round Live on all the platforms as you enjoy the final hour of the show live today, show number 536. The show being brought to you in part by our friends at Legacy. We'll get to some great sound of Jimbo Fisher talking about Hugh Freeze. If you need extra cash handy, look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes right now to apply and request the amount you need, the amount of cash you need right now to give you peace of mind. Apply online today, legacycreditunion.com/join. legacycreditunion.com/join, federally insured by the NCUA. Texas A&M is a pretty good football team.
I think they weren't week 2.
Maybe Miami's just better. But Texas A&M is a pretty good football team.
I think.
No, I think they are.
I don't know what Auburn is yet. That's fair, right?
Well, yeah, I asked Josh Pate the question, who do you think you know, not saying who's the better team, but who do you think you grasp better right now, Texas A&M or Auburn?
Right.
Texas A&M.
I mean, again, that Miami, they've been tested one time, and they got scalded.
I think I agree with you, Lance, but I would not bet anything on it. I want to see what Auburn looks like in this situation and if Hugh Freeze has been holding some stuff back. Here's Jimbo Fisher talking about playing against Hugh Freeze again in this conference.
You've coached against Hugh Freeze when you're at Florida State.
Yeah, we opened up the season with them one year. They had AJ, we had all their receivers. We had a shootout. They were ahead like 24-6 or something. We come back and won 43 to something. Was Francois' first game. I think he threw for 418 yards.
So what's it like, I guess, coaching against Hugh Freeze? And what do you?
Oh, he's going to listen. Hugh's going to be open. He's going to be wide open. He's going to be aggressive on offense. He's going to be dynamic. He's going to create things in special teams. Not afraid to call a fake. Not afraid to do things. Very good coach. Going to have his guys motivated, ready to play. Hugh's a good guy and a very good football coach.
Yeah.
God,
hey, by the way,
mighty.
So rapid.
Can you play it again for me, Rockstar? This is like.
You going on a 10 or are you going to regular?
No, not on 10.
Not on 10, please.
This is Jimbo Fisher. If he is a contestant on Jeopardy and he's minus 10,000 because he's missed every answer, but finally he knows the answer to the question before he's finished answering, he beeps in on the question here. Listen.
You've coached against Hugh Freeze when you're at Florida State.
Yeah, we opened up the season with them one year. They had AJ, we had all their
receivers.
Can I finish
my question, please?
Go faster, Jimbo. My God, it's just so fast.
Yeah,
Wait, I know this one. I did play Hugh Freeze once.
I think he had about 418 yards. I think he threw for that.
That was Francois' first game.
We do this all. I did this Saturday with Kansas State, Missouri headsets. I went Chris Kleiman over Eli Drinkwitz. I think I was proven to be accurate in that one. If you go headsets in this one.
Oh, Hugh Freeze.
I mean, again.
Are you counting the entire coaching staff?
No, I'm counting head coach.
DJ Durkin hasn't looked good early on.
You can't go 2004 Iron Bowl over
Look, Bobby Petrino, his offense been just fine.
Cut 12 is Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze better coach.
I agree.
I think so, too. I mean, Jimbo does have the national championship.
But here you go. This is Hugh Freeze, right or wrong, is at least the first year of him at Auburn is the most transparent coach I've seen in a long, long time. Here's Hugh Freeze setting the table for the next 3 weeks against Texas A&M, Georgia, and LSU.
I'm probably too candid and honest sometimes for some people, but let's just be really clear. We're getting ready to play 3 teams that have, over the last 4 to 5 years, ranked in the top 7 to 5 in recruiting. All right, so you're playing the best recruits in the nation, and we're going to be there soon, and that doesn't mean you can't compete and doesn't mean you can't win the game and all of that, but it's a tall challenge for us in year 1 to stand toe-to-toe with A&M and Georgia next week and LSU the following week. That it's our goal to get there. But that's what reality is we've had about 8 months to recruit a half a class, and these others have been stacking it, and that's why they're ranked 3rd in the country in third down defense. Is they're incredibly talented.
Yeah, and there is no doubt. You can talk about coaching or whatever. One roster is a long-term build, and one is just starting to be made over. There is a discrepancy on the field in this game. Some of you will look at the numbers and say Hugh is painting it even a darker picture than it really is, that the numbers tell you that Auburn's, 15th or 17th in talent. But when I watch Auburn play, I don't think they're like 15th or 17th in talent. I think he's getting as much juice out of that turnip as he can right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the roster-wise, A&M's an A. Now, it just doesn't come together for whatever reason under Jimbo Fisher. The roster-wise probably right now is like a D. But I think Hugh Freeze is a good enough coach, can make it look like a C+. And I think they can be competitive, and I think they'll beat a couple of teams they shouldn't. I don't think it's this weekend. I think this is one of those games that could get ugly too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when I ask who do you think you've got a better grasp on who they are, both these teams have been tested one time, and neither test went well. Now, Auburn won theirs.
Right.
But it still didn't go well. I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, you came into that game thinking, I really do not know how we won that game. The one positive out of it was defense played pretty well, and you identified that Eugene Asante could be a star. Texas A&M's one test went even worse than that. There were times you looked bad offensively, and you looked awful the whole game defensively.
Yeah, I do want to remind you, though, A&M on the road against what seems to be a really good Miami team was up double digits.
They were.
They fell apart.
They were, but
I still think this is a really talented A&M team.
Yeah, if it does go bad this week, you still have Georgia and LSU coming up next, which could be a precursor to 3 pretty dark weeks.
I'll remind you,
for the Auburn faithful.
After Pearl Harbor, Japan was in the lead too.
Okay, fair enough.
And then they got up off the mat. This hour of the show brought to you by
Giant.
Yeah, but they didn't know. America, we did not know when kick time was for that one.
That's a good point. Yeah, the kickoff stuck up on us.
This hour of the show brought to you by our friends at Champy's world famous fried chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Sterling and the crew right there, getting you ready for the great college football weekend with lunch or dinner today. And then when you get to that weekend, perfect for your tailgate as well. Hand-cut chicken fingers, Mississippi Delta tamales, and all the southern fried chicken and sides. Champy'sChicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Lane Kiffin talked a lot about who's calling plays on defense. He knows who's calling the offense, Tommy Rees, and he's been in Tommy Rees's place before. He's been the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban. Here's Lane Kiffin, who's asked if Alabama's offense looks different under Tommy Rees.
A lot's been made of the quarterback situation, but they also have a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees. Outside of quarterback, does the offense itself look different than it has in recent years?
A little bit. I think that that's a little hard to say just because they're trying to figure out the quarterback, and anytime you're trying to do that and with different quarterbacks, that's a work in progress. So I'm sure they'll work it out. And every previous games don't mean anything year to year, week to week. You see that in college football all the time. So like I say, like in the NFL, teams play each other twice, and the same team doesn't win every time twice. So every week's different. And just because these guys struggled a little bit, down in, a non-conference type of game they're not used to playing, and some weather issues means nothing about playing SEC, the way that they play in the SEC at home.
Yeah. I would tell you that it's ironic that he's answering that question about Tommy Rees, because the last time Alabama really juggled their quarterbacks and had question on who their quarterback should be is when Lane Kiffin was in charge of the program in 2015.
And he made a poor decision. in that one, and he lived to tell about it because he was forced to go back to Jake Coker, who was ultimately the starter that led you to the championship. Tried to replace him, realized maybe we're not as good behind him as I thought we were.
They had Derrick Henry and a great offensive line.
That is true.
Don't see Derrick Henry on this roster, and don't see that great offensive line. His pacing is the complete opposite of Jimbo
It
Fisher.
really is.
Right.
You could not find polar opposites
Yeah.
more. The bigger offensive concern in this game, to me, just from looking at this game, is not Alabama's offense. It's Ole Miss's. And what they are doing running the football, they are way off their numbers running the football. I don't know what's going on there. Judkins, people are saying, is hurt. But this team is not running the football anywhere close to the way they normally do.
I mean, Judkins, you could make an argument after the first week, or at least going into the season, was the best running back in college football.
Yeah.
Production hasn't been there. I don't know if he's hurt or not. They haven't come out and said anything.
I mean, they're off 80 yards a game from last year's averages in running the football. That's a significant, that's a full drive that they're missing on the ground right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, we're getting ready for our spotlight, upset alert time. LT is going to tell you about our friends at Hydra Live, and then Rockstar is going to hit the big button, and we'll get to upset, and then possibly the Brown Bandit back in studio with us today. LT, tell us about Hydra Live.
Hey, if you got a big weekend coming up, you want to get hydrated, I suggest pregame. Of course, if you have that big night and it sneaks up on you, then you can always postgame and have Hydra Live actually come out to you. You can go to one of those two great locations, Hoover, the Greystone location, Homewood. They're open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days a week. Again, IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, all under one roof. Mention Next Round at checkout. You're going to save 20% off any of their great services. Again, if you can't make it out there, a nurse can come to you, home or business. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Hydra Live Therapy and HydraLiveTherapy.com.
All right, Rocky. Hit it, man.
The College Football Spotlight.
Sound the alarm. College football's upset alert.
Every week we do this. There's some consistencies, including me not being good at it this year. I'm 0-3. Let's look at the leaderboard, updated by Taylor Korn. You take a look at this thing, and you'll see 0 points for me.
Wow.
In our scoring system, you get 0 points when you get the game wrong.
It's most any scoring system, yes.
Yeah, I have not even covered with any of my upsets, which would get me 1 point. Winning outright gets you 3 points. So Lance in 3 weeks has had a cover and then a 6.5 point or more dog hit like he did last week to get 4 points. And Brown, the Brown Bandit, has gone back-to-back weeks with 6.5 and more winners outright.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right.
17 of the last 14, or 14 of the last 17 doing that.
They're telling me somebody's buzzing at the door, so would you go get that real quick?
Oh, the Brown Bandit?
I don't
He's
know.
here?
I don't know who's at the door.
Let me go check.
LT,
you guys do your picks without me? Is that okay? All right,
LT,
I'll go check.
Will you start your picks off? Who is your upset alert today, my friend?
We're going to Friday night, 9:30 kick out west, San Jose State. They open with USC, then they get Oregon State. They had Toledo, which they had on the ropes on the road last week. This is a really good 1-3 team. Now they're taking on undefeated Air Force. I like the Spartans plus 3.5. Javon Cordero, really good quarterback, underrated. Nick Nash, he's got a major weapon. So I like San Jose State.
San Jose State, you know, they've had an interesting schedule to start things
been brutal.
off. They've gone with some tough opponents. That's a good football team. I like what they're doing there. I've been looking for an update on my quarterback on the team I'm picking this weekend. I just have a feeling that the change of location and all of that, you have a lot of time planning for this first trip on the road. My upset this week, I'm going to get on the Gus bus. I'm going to go with UCF. I don't have a gold to go with the orange.
It looks like somebody from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it does. This like a scorpion.
Mortal Kombat. I hate that commercial. I'm going with UCF this weekend. They're playing at Kansas State. Some questions at quarterback for John Rice Plumlee. Some questions for quarterback with Will Howard. And both of them, great quarterbacks when they play. Both of them are banged up a little bit. John Rice Plumlee hadn't played in a while. Don't know if he'll play, likely out. Will Howard, you said he was banged up at the end.
Oh, he was. He was limping around. Changed their offense.
Don't know if he'll be 100% or not. So the old Gus bus for me. Give me UCF plus 6.5 as I try to get off the 0-3 Schneid.
Hey, can I ask you
there.
this real quick? I thought we
Was
got
I stalling for time? Yes,
I know you were. I
Yeah.
thought we got points, the differential, if our team won outright.
Remember when I were going to
Okay,
do that,
that's
and then
fine.
you guys in the middle of the show
I don't even
nixed
remember
that? Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I still am confused on the scoring, but hey,
it's
just keep winning.
You guys were confused and said you wanted to. What was wrong with last year? So we went back to that, and we're doing last year's scoring system. All right, that has stalled all the time we needed to get in costume. Is the Brown Bandit here?
The Brown Bandit's here.
Oh, are you fishing?
I am, Jim.
I don't have a script. What am I supposed to do?
Are you trying to catch a bookmaker? Catch a winner?
You know what? It's gotten to the point where.
Is it too easy?
It's too easy. It's like hooking a dead fish, Lance.
Oh.
It's like hooking a dead fish.
Well, you
in
need
these
some
games.
dynamite. Fish with dynamite, right?
14 of the last 17, Rockstar. Point spreads of 6.5 or more. I've hit those. Most of them winners outright. You know what that's like?
Fishing?
Hooking a dead fish.
Hooking a
Rockstar.
dead fish.
I think hooking a dead fish is actually pretty
It'd
hard.
be really tough.
No, man, hooking a dead fish, it's an old colloquialism, Jim, for something that is very easy. All right, you want me to prove it to you? You want me to hook a dead fish? You want me to hook one there?
It's all fun and games.
You got to be able to cast it first, Brown Bandit.
Yeah.
I was just threatening Jim. You want me
No,
to catch?
all I'm telling you, it's all fun and games,
Right.
until I walk across the hall and sue your ass for losing an eye.
Oh, Jim, you wouldn't do that to me, would you?
I wouldn't sue the company.
You wouldn't sue the company?
No, I'd sue you. Oh, wait. Are you pulling in your winner now?
Oh, I don't know, Jim. Let me see. Oh, whoa,
wow.
look at this.
You caught one.
What?
That's a dead fish.
That's a dead fish.
It looks just like it.
See what we got here.
Oh, it's on the end of the hook.
Just show you how easy this is, huh?
That was amazing that you caught that on that last cast. It whizzed past my face.
Hook it here. Let's see what we
I'll
got.
rephrase that.
Yeah, wow, Jim. What's that look like right there?
That looks like the Aztec logo of San Diego State.
Is that what that is?
That is, yes.
San Diego State.
Mother.
Well, shit.
It's a winner.
Every time.
San Diego State, guys, is playing at home against Boise. Have you seen Boise play this year?
Not good.
Boise has not played good. In fact, Boise is 1-2 right now, and they have struggled. San Diego State at Snapdragon Stadium. Do you think you just waltz into Snapdragon Stadium and get a win?
No. Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. This
Finish him.
This is an absolute Mortal Kombat lock. It is my dead fish game of the year. San Diego State, the Aztecs playing at Snapdragon Stadium. It is a Friday night, 9:30 CBS Sports Network game. San Diego State, for some reason, Boise is coming all the way down to Snapdragon Stadium and actually giving them 7 points. They're giving them 7 points in this game. Rockstar.
Sir.
Boise going to whip their
Oh,
ass.
yeah. They don't need those points.
Do you think I need them?
No. Well,
Right,
why,
sorry. What is
why
this
even
like?
talk about points?
It's like hooking a what?
dead fish.
It's like hooking a dead fish
Yeah.
as a rock star. 7 points, but ladies and gentlemen, those 7 points, we do not need them. Hook dead fishes with me or listen to Lance, who is always critical of my pick, except
That's
for
not true.
last week.
Last week, I
when
liked
he
it.
wasn't critical of my pick. I was finishing the sentence, and I got it right. San Diego State plus the 7. Forget the points. Take the money line. San Diego State wins this game going away against Boise Friday night. You're welcome. Go hook a dead fish.
How do you feel about that, Dunaway?
I really haven't thought about San Diego State.
It's
Boise
my
State
dead
this
fish
weekend.
game of the gym. I'm just trying to find the good game.
Such
My
an
dead-
odd number for
so
them
I
to
agree,
be,
I agree.
favorite on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got.
So you want me to find one for
Hit
you,
the
Lance?
sandbar on that one.
No, I'm good.
We got
You're good?
Auburn, Texas A&M. We got
Right.
Florida State, Clemson,
Uh-huh.
Colorado, Oregon, UCLA, Utah, Ole Miss, Bama,
Yep.
Oregon State, Washington State, Arkansas, LSU, Ohio
Right.
State, Notre
I
Dame,
got one
Iowa,
about you,
Penn
Jim.
State,
Here it comes.
Mississippi State, South Carolina.
Here it
Whoa,
comes.
that's not a fish. That's an eel.
Oh, my. Shock him, shock him, shock him.
Earthworm.
Oh, all right. You got to put that up, man. Oh, is the company paying for your props?
Oh, I got a big. Oh, I thought I had a big
Where
one.
did you get that?
Huh?
Oh,
This
he bought
fish
it.
rod?
He bought them all. He bought it all.
It's the company paying for my props.
I wanna know.
Like
I mean-
we've got a wardrobe closet.
I mean,
You didn't go out and buy all this, did you really?
Lance, I mean, the Brown Bandit does not reveal his secrets. What's the problem if I did?
A waste of money, but
Well, you waste money on a lot of things yourself. Don't
All
worry
right.
about it.
We
Trying to
got-
catch. Oh, we got. Oh, I thought we had. I had a big one there.
Seems like it's the same fish every time. Just throw it back.
I thought I had a 3-touchdown
He's probably
winner
suffocated by now.
Yes.
You know Bass is on the third floor.
I
here.
do. I'm well aware of that.
I wish you'd go down there
Well
right now.
aware of that.
That is our upset alert today. The show being brought to you in part today by our friends at MyBookie. Brown, you think you can put that down and tell us about MyBookie?
MyBookie.ag, code next round. You want to hook some dead fish? You want to hook some dead fish with me? Go to MyBookie.ag, code next round. Right now, when MyBookie gets the video of this read, they're going to wonder who in the world is endorsing their product. It's the Brown Bandit. MyBookie.ag is where I go to make those plays with the Brown Bandit. Code next round when you go to MyBookie.ag and you get a sign-on bonus up to $200 for any sign-on, any initial deposit of $50 or more. They've got that parlay situation. You take the 3 picks we just made. You hit the first 2, you don't like the third one, you can cash out right there and you can play that elsewhere at mybookie.ag.
What's the promo code? DadBod?
That's next round,
Next
not
round.
DadBod.
Not DadBod?
No,
Okay.
not Dead Fish. It is next round. Mybookie.ag, code next round to get sign up today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag, code next round.
Follow the Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
The next round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pests, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit, and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
We're watching Dan Orlovsky here on McAfee on TV3. He comes on our show weekly. And I think people forget, because he's always sitting down a lot on television. Dude's 6'5.5".
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah. Compare that to Bryce Young at quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, Bryce will probably be a better quarterback, as much as we love Dan, but Dan's certainly bigger.
Yeah, 6'5.5", tall dude there. When is Dan on with us? He's tomorrow,
every
right?
Thursday at 11:05.
Thursday, 2 days from now.
Yep.
All right, so we'll see Dan back here with us on Thursday. at 11:05. All right, trash coming up in the second. Show being brought to you by our friends at Redmont Vodka, Redmont Distilling. Getting very close to us, spending some time with our buddy Charles Barkley in Redmont down at the big Auburn, Georgia game.
Yeah, locally owned and operated. Barkley is one of the great faces behind Redmont Vodka. Their aim, color and taste, and great clarity. Of course, it's gluten-free. It's 8 times distilled. You can pick it up at any local beverage place, the Pink Package store, ABC stores. Ask for it by name. Available in 22 states. It is Redmont Vodka.
I don't want you to run out and buy all of it that you can get, but we've been, MGM, we've been following that story about the cyber attack they suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Not the only American company that's gone through this. The folks at Clorox have been dealing with a cyber attack since back at the beginning of August, shut down their production for a lengthy time. So if you're a Clorox user, you may see a little break in the supply chain here for a little bit. You may be hard to find Clorox products for a little bit. Anybody use Clorox up here?
Yeah, my wife has got those like those Clorox wipes, that come out of the cylinder thing. They're pretty dang handy.
Too. Used those yesterday.
Yeah.
Me too. So I don't know if it'll affect the wipes or just the bucket or whatever, but there you go, Clorox. So, and one more thing, Mark Cuban's got a lot of money. Is he a billionaire?
Oh, yeah. Mark Cuban's a billionaire.
He is?
Oh, yeah.
Mark,
a billionaire.
Must be because he's not sweating. He's actually joking about losing $870,000. He said he got caught up in a crypto phishing scam. He downloaded from Google search a fake wallet, and as he says in a quote, the fake wallet ended up taking everything out of my real wallet. $870,000 later, he lost $870,000 to that scam.
Boy, that is wild that a guy like Cuban could be
that
careless, easy with that kind of money. Yeah.
God, can you imagine, though, if that was somebody's life savings?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure someone has lost their life savings that way. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, now, if you got your life savings in crypto, that was probably a bad choice from the beginning.
Yeah, probably so.
But I'm sure they have gotten somebody's life savings out of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that.
We've got to tighten that crap up as a country. We got to somehow tighten that crap up. And again, I am okay. I'm all for freedoms and everything in our country, 100%. And I love the way we take care of the world. But I'm okay if we just go to a U.S. internet. We cut the rest of the world off our internet. And we just have our own internet. Why not?
That's some of Dunaway's ideas.
Why not?
Incredible, aren't they?
There's like a seven character password, and we're done.
Truth or not, did we not invent the internet in our country?
Lunsford?
We invented it.
We did.
It's our internet.
Yeah, didn't Al Gore invent it? Isn't that the story?
Well, Al said
we did
run a joke.
We did it.
Well, the U.S. military did it, right?
Yeah. So why did we let anybody else on it?
Yeah.
All they're doing is trying to steal our crap.
Yeah.
Shut them off.
This is where somebody shows Dunaway. You're probably not thinking about this part right here. And Jim's like, oh, okay, that was a terrible idea.
That's why I'll never be president. Let's go to
That
trash.
is it. You're
Brought
right.
to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. Hit it.
A Jacksonville man just won $1 million jackpot from a scratch-off.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Was she in a movie theater in Colorado?
Buying a home, major milestone in life. Getting it right comes down to the right advice at the right time. That's why we're proud to partner with the friends at Mortgage Right who do mortgages the right way. Locally owned and operated. Mortgage Right standing by to help you today. Visit their locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply at mortgageright.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200. NMLS 2239. Equal housing lender. Who was the state representative?
Michael.
She looks like Lacey Chabert in Mean Girls.
He's talking about Lance. Talking about the Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
Is that how you say her name?
Yes.
Did she jerk some dude off in a movie theater?
I don't think that
I
is
think she
the
was
case.
vaping.
No, she was vaping, I believe.
She was
That's
vaping
what I
and
was
dancing
trying
at
to.
a performance
Tyler's
of
giving me
Beetlejuice.
a shake of that. I saw a video today. By the way, you can't go anywhere in the world now without being videoed.
Well, of course you can.
And it was surveillance. So the surveillance has been leaked.
Please tell me that we're not confusing what you're saying to vaping, because I've occasionally vaped, and I don't want to be mistaken for doing that.
She was doing both. I mean, she was like, it looked like she was groping the guy.
I have not seen any sort of reports. She was asked to leave because she was vaping, is what everyone is saying.
Yeah, I don't know who she is, but apparently she's a conservative talk show host, the way you're defending her.
She's actually a U.S. congressperson.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's like, I've seen different shots of her. She's kind of sneaky hot in one shot, and then she's kind of not.
Yeah.
So I don't really.
She's a two-face.
Maybe.
Yeah. Good light, bad. Is it good light, bad light, you think?
But Tommy's right. She was giving him a rub down in the theater and vaping. Both hands were full.
And apparently she was singing along. It was actually in a musical.
she's literally a one-man band.
Three-tool player, Jimmy. She was, I think it was a musical. Yeah, it's Beetlejuice,
which is not a musical, but I guess they've made it a musical,
and
right?
she was singing along, really loud, vaping, and apparently touching things she wasn't supposed to touch in the theater. And
was it her husband?
I really don't know. I don't even know if she's married.
No, she filed for divorce. I just saw this morning. She filed for divorce back in May, and now she told TMZ yesterday she's not dating anymore after the incident this past week.
Aubrey says she's about to be a grandmother. I didn't know she was that old.
She's 36.
Wow,
Almost
that math does not work.
Yeah, it really does.
Wow.
Yeah, technically, you could have a kid when 18, and when you're 36, that kid could be 18.
Yeah.
It's a family tradition.
Someone at the Del Amo Fashion Center in Torrance, California may have forgotten it's only mid-September. Reddit user captured a photo of a decorated Christmas tree at least 15 foot tall, lit garland in the shopping center on September 14th. For the record, 102 days before Christmas, 70 days before Thanksgiving, and 47 days before Halloween.
Well, this does not bother me at all.
Yeah, well, let me just tell you.
I like Christmas.
Well, how about just hats off to the mall worker who says, I'm not going to procrastinate.
Yeah, screw it. We're going to
I've got to put
now.
up this
Right.
Christmas tree and stuff. It just doesn't happen overnight. I'm going to get to work.
I'm going to want some days off in December, so I'm going to go and do my work now.
Get to work.
It's turning into who's going to be the first. We're going to be the first ones to start playing the Christmas music in September. We want to be the first ones to have a Christmas tree up because we'll get the
Actually,
attention.
I think it's a psychology thing because when you see Christmas, I don't know about you guys, the month of December, I spend more money than I ever spent.
I know. Yeah, this
And
makes
it's
you want to
because
buy.
you're out buying
Yep.
gifts. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think that's probably something that is on the.
And by the way, fewer people are going to indoor malls.
Yeah.
So this is a way of saying, like, hey, look at us. It's already Christmas in our mall.
I saw this. I thought to myself, that's got to be a stock photo because that's an indoor mall with people.
That's right. And stores.
So I forgot how you, Maggie and Jennifer and Nancy had their kids. Was it anybody have a cesarean?
No.
We were 1 and 1.
Okay.
We were both natural.
Okay. On your cesarean, did you watch?
I was in the room, but there was a drape.
Yeah.
I
They
did
told
not
me, do you want to go
sit. No.
below
I was like,
or
negative.
above?
No, thank you.
First one, I went below, and I did not go below on the second one because it was rough.
I was all good. I said, I trust this doctor has delivered a bunch of babies. He's going to get this one right. And even if he's not, I'm not going to be able to help. So I'm going to stay up here by the head.
Leighton always says you like her better than Jack.
No, she says I like Jack better than her.
I'm kidding.
Oh, by the way, I've got something that Leighton sent me last night that Forrester's got that we'll get to after this story. But it was like a war zone behind the curtain. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, an Australian man has sued a Melbourne hospital claiming that he was, quote, permitted and even encouraged to attend his wife's C-section, which caused the onset of a mental illness. Now, in January of 2018, Anil Coppola's wife gave birth to a healthy baby via the cesarean section. He was allowed in the operating room during the procedure, and seeing his wife's organs and blood allegedly caused the onset of a psychotic illness. Now, years later, he's trying to sue the hospital for $1 billion in psychological damages. Coppola, who represented himself during the legal proceedings, which that kind of shows you crazy, right?
No, that's awesome. That's great. You're saving money.
Claimed that the hospital breached its duty of care it owed him, adding that the psychotic illness caused a breakdown of his marriage.
I mean, this seems like a stretch.
I don't think he's going to get the $1 million.
Yeah, I think he's probably wasting his time on this.
Not with me on the jury.
Okay, before Forrester throws this up, Brown, you haven't seen it. Dunaway has seen it.
I have
Y'all
no
are
idea
gonna
what
die.
this is. Nothing.
Y'all are going to die. So Leighton sends this to me, and her simple thing is, do you have something to share with the class? Here we go.
All right.
Who is that?
Is that you? Is that Jack?
No. I don't know who it is.
Who is that?
One of her friends from Utah sent her this picture of this dude that was on TikTok last night.
Yeah. See, I thought that was Lance like when he was in high school, just back from the beach. And I was like, so, yeah, you look very young there. What's up?
Yeah, I thought it was, I think they had Cord in the car, but her and Mom, both her and Bethany were laughing about this.
Wow.
And, hey, do you have something to tell us?
Have you been to Utah?
I have been to Utah, yeah. But I don't know if this was in Utah. Her friends in
Oh,
Utah
friends
going to
in Utah.
college.
I got you.
She saw this on TikTok last night and sent it to Leighton.
So the one on the right.
Wait a minute. I'm screwed up
The
now.
one on the right is the TikTok, and the one on the left is you at high school in Homewood?
No.
The exact same thing, exact same hat, exact same location.
No, I felt Forrester had photoshopped Lance's face in there.
No.
So this is the same guy in both those photos?
Oh, yeah.
But boy, they look so much like Lance Rockstar. It really
No,
does.
it really does.
Yeah.
Except
I mean, that
except
is
he'd
crazy.
never wear that hat.
Yeah, that's what I told Leighton. I was like, because she was like, "You got a son out there we don't know about?" And I'm like, "My son wouldn't wear Adidas."
Yeah, I mean, come on now. I gave him something. Yeah. That's wild right
That
there.
it really
Lance. I
is.
mean, if you encountered that kid, you'd have to ask some questions, I
Did you
think.
hear the pause in his voice? My son wouldn't wear, and then he thought, is Adidas a sponsor of the show? So, yeah. Adidas?
I don't know who the kid is.
I don't either, but he looks like you.
If you're watching, man, hit us up.
No, don't. is he 18?
Dear Dad, I've waited for so long.
Dearest father, finally, I was strolling across your YouTube channel, something called Spittin' Lugs.
No, I think that is an example that everybody has a doppelganger out there.
Yeah, that's pretty wild right there.
Yeah.
If you told me that was Jack, I would have believed it.
So a South Korean social media influencer has been conquering the internet with photos so heavily edited that people can't help but like them. Now, female influencers flaunting their God-given or surgically enhanced physical attributes on social media have been dominating social media for quite a few years now, and while many of them rely on filters and Photoshop skills to digitally alter their appearance, they go out of their way to be inconspicuous about it as possible. So, when one influencer comes along and is not only giving up front about digitally manipulating her social media pictures, but actually goes over the top with the editing, people apparently find it surprisingly refreshing.
So-
This is what we get out of this South Korean girl, Shashel.
She, unless you read the article, you wouldn't be able to tell, but she does do a couple edits. You probably won't be able to tell, though.
That is Shashel?
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
I got a couple pictures of it. Like, this is the
Look
stuff-
at those hands.
Please tell me this is pre-edited.
No, and she got big hands.
So is she trying to make her chest look larger by
and
making her head
and
look smaller?
tiny. I don't know, and her arms longer, but she does a lot of. She's a good-looking girl.
That is...
But that she's popular because she enhances herself so much, and she's like, it's obvious I digitally edit myself because all these women do this.
Dude, she makes Maria Taylor's hands look small.
Look how shy she is.
I think we know what she edited there. Yeah. Rockstar, this is weird.
Wait, go back to one before, Rocky. Look how big her hand is, seriously.
Well, I mean, it's large, but I think it's enhanced, right? That's not her
gotta
actual
be.
hand.
She also looks like she's
Kawhi
about
Leonard.
6'7".
Yeah. Oh, they got them long arms, man. She can play the post.
I don't understand the tiny head though. Why?
I don't
why make her
either.
head tiny?
That's weird, man.
So we've got a botched public marriage proposal has left the town in stitches after the recipient left a brutal reply in kind. Foregoing the traditional down on one knee, the unlucky in love person puts up a large white bed sheet in Elgin, Scotland this week, and it read, "Will you marry me, Rachel?" Hopes for a love story straight out of a rom-com were quickly dashed, however, when someone, presumably Rachel, replied with her own bed sheet alongside the first.
Wow.
And you see it there. If you're not watching, it says, "No!" 3 exclamations. You slept with my brother.
Happy 40th, Sandy. Some guy's like, well, I'm going to put my own sheet up.
Is this what we're doing now?
Happy 40th.
This is cheaper than getting those flamingos in my front yard.
Wait, I got to go back. So, will you marry me, Rachel, coming from a dude? And then she says, "No, you slept with my brother."
Yeah.
But is there a chance because of happy 40th, Sandy, is there a chance that "no, you slept with my brother" is not really a reply to "will you marry me, Rachel," that this is just a lost in translation thing?
So
because
maybe
apparently everybody's just putting messages up on this fence. And why are we wasting sheets?
It's a great question, all those questions, Jim.
But it is a bad timing for the guy who wants Rachel to marry him because it looks like he slept with Rachel's
Hey,
brother.
what a random ass fence to put it on,
It
too.
really is. Can we go find the one with the house that's been condemned? Yeah.
Lot 48, everyone. So we're going to put up our sheets.
Finally, words that sound dirty but actually aren't.
Okay.
The Asapanic. Asapanic is
I've had
another
those a
name
lot of days.
for the flying squirrel.
That's an Asapanic up there.
Bum fiddler.
Oh, bum fiddler.
Met a couple of those.
One possible meaning of bum fiddle is to pollute or spoil something, in particular by scribbling or drawing on a document to make it invalid.
Bum fiddler.
You know, Bobby's right. Back to the marriage proposal is that we didn't even consider that it could be 2 women who were getting married.
You slept
And
with my brother?
My brother.
Well, he says 2 lesbians, but if she slept with his brother, I think that might
Bisexual,
disqualify. Yeah.
It's great point, Bobby.
A little bit of a bum fiddler.
Yeah, that's
Yes, I would agree.
That's like the old traffic accident. Get to the hospital, but I can't operate. The dad was in the car who's got killed. I can't operate. That's my son. We're all like, I thought the dad was killed in the accident. How is he operating? Well, it's a woman, It was a mind bender.
I don't know if there's a riddle in there. It's an old riddle.
What are you talking about?
It was a riddle back in the day.
Yeah, it's like a word problem that you throw out. Who's actually operating?
It's like
How many animals did
It was a woman.
How many of each animal did Moses put on the ark?
2.
Oh, no, he didn't have an ark. No, he
Yeah,
didn't.
Moses did. Clatterfart. According to a Tudor dictionary published in 1552. Who's the publisher in 1552, by the way?
The old clatterfart.
A clatterfart is someone who is a gossip. Evagination.
What?
Evagination. Or invagination.
Yeah. Oh, that's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, invagination.
I have a wild imagination.
Wow.
Where does your imagination take you sometimes?
Dark places, Lance.
Invagination is simply the process of putting something inside something else.
Man, you got to invaginate. Hey, could you invaginate the refrigerator for me? Damn thing's off.
Could you imagine using that word out in public?
Yeah. Invaginate your sister. She's in the bed. You know what I mean.
Hey,
Why don't you just use the big words
Plug
up
it
there?
up.
No, but Brian Ferentz, he invaginated himself for the media
Yeah,
today,
absolutely
right?
did, yeah. You get that ladder.
Y'all climb out of my ass for just a minute. Let me have lunch. Titbore is the final word that sounds dirty, but actually isn't.
What is it?
Titbore. Titbore is the 17th century Scots name for a game of peekaboo. It was once also
Yes.
called hitty titty.
I do that all the time.
What?
And incidentally, hide and go seek. They also said it was let's hide the meat, but
What's great is hide and seek used to be called hitty titty. Awesome. That one kid that always gets it wrong.
Yeah. Wow. Quite a finish there, Lance.
Invaginate us to break there, Dunaway.
That is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
yeah, let the experts at Mortgage Right help get your financial house in order. A team of experts make sure you're prepared for anything 2023 may bring. Take control today. Visit Mortgage Right at their locations, Highway 280 Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply at mortgageright.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200.
If you think the housing market is playing a game of hitty titty right now, you need our friends at Mortgage Right.
Invagine, there's no people.
One more segment to go, and then a Disrupt the Media bonus play of the Burnout coming up at 12 noon Central Time. You don't have to go anywhere. We'll just continue the fun with Peter Burns at 12 noon. You can go follow us, Disrupt the Media, on all platforms, including YouTube, at Disrupt the Media, and follow as well War Damn Pods and Roll Tide Pods right there on YouTube with our Disrupt the Media family.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The Next Round store is live and loaded. Check out the latest logo t-shirts and hoodies. Get your favorite team colors, the Next Round flag shirt, or grab the popular Y'all Can Have the Rest t-shirts. Go to nextround.store. That's nextround.store.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from the Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
The Next Round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Start your day online at nextroundlive.com. Get all the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. And it's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Final segment live today, being brought to you in part by our friends at New York Butcher Shop. Your chance to get by there and pick up one of the great steaks that we use to pay off steaks here on the show.
Yeah, New York Butcher Shop, fantastic food. Again, 2 locations for you. Don't forget about those huge deli sandwiches either. I haven't had one of those in a while. Dunaway, you're one of the few people I know that can eat the entire thing.
You're welcome.
But they are fantastic. Again, pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks, burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, all natural chicken cut to order with a great selection of fine wines and desserts. New York Butcher Shop, one-stop dinner shop, 2 locations, Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
And also by our friends at Talladega Super Speedway and NASCAR as we get ready for that racing weekend coming up. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. September 30th, October 1st, 2 playoff races, the Truck Series on Saturday, the Yellowwood 500 Cup Series playoff race coming up on Sunday, and the Hardy concert Saturday night. Your ticket gets you into all of that. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Be there at Talladega for the world's fastest speedway. Another great playoff racing weekend, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. So we're getting a lot of conversation about Jalen Milroe and about Kevin Steele calling plays. Nick Saban addressing both of those about 24 hours ago in our overtime. Rockstar, give me cut 6 and 7 here. First, this is what Nick Saban says about Jalen Milroe, and I want you guys to listen and then tell me why he may have said it like this instead of going, just in with both feet saying Jalen Milroe is our quarterback.
From a quarterback standpoint, this is all I'm going to say about this. Jalen really showed the leadership that I was looking for, during the game in terms of supporting his teammates and doing the things he needed to do. He's had the opportunity to play, so as the other guys. Jalen played the best of all those guys, and so I think he's earned the opportunity to be the quarterback.
Okay, so a lot of people were discussing it wasn't like he's committed to him all year, that he's our starting quarterback. He's our guy from here on out. I don't know if you've seen enough or if Nick Saban ever does that. Was that enough for you from Nick Saban that tells you Jalen Milroe's the guy from here on out? No more looking over the shoulder.
I don't know if I would be willing to say from here on out. I think he's certainly the guy against Ole Miss based on that conversation.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he gives you your best opportunity to win. I know there are people out there that it's like feast or famine when it comes to Milroe because he makes some really spectacular plays and then he makes some what people would describe as boneheaded plays. I just wonder if Dylan Lonergan will be the next guy, not necessarily this weekend, but if you really start to reevaluate this, if it's not working out in 2 or 3 weeks, would they consider playing a true freshman?
If I were an Alabama fan, I'd like to see Ty Simpson again. I think Ty Simpson showed you towards the end of that game some promise. He made a really good throw there in the third quarter. I thought he commanded. Alabama was in the 4-minute, just trying to burn off as much clock as they could there. I thought he handled that situation well. And
if he had made one mistake while he was in there, they could have lost the football game.
There's no doubt. And when I say he handled the situation well, he was in the game handing the ball off, but he's also got to make the right reads and make sure there were checkoffs and that, the blocking assignments are what they're supposed to be. I thought he handled himself pretty well. Did he look like Tua or Bryce Young? No, he didn't. But if I were an Alabama fan, before you got to Lonergan, I'd probably like to see Ty Simpson again. I'm not saying this week. I'm just saying if it doesn't work for Milroe, maybe give Simpson one more crack at it, Lance, before you're off to Lonergan. But hey, if it doesn't work for Milroe, Alabama's going to have 2 losses in September, and none of this matters anyway.
Yeah.
You may as well go young at that point.
It's really weird. You guys have been to a really good restaurant, and the food is amazing for a couple of years, and then they try to cut cost, and you just go and the food's not as good. It looks the same.
I bet we're thinking about the same place.
It's just not as good. Yeah, we are. But, I mean, this is kind of Alabama football right now.
They're cutting costs.
I mean, they still look physically dominant when you see them up against opponents and stuff. I'm not saying that. I guess it's that probably bad analogy. It's more like the talent's not getting developed. I don't know what it is because you're not necessarily missing on recruiting because according to the services.
But I know what you're saying. It's like sometimes that's that same building the restaurant was in. It's the same restaurant. But, guys, I wish y'all could have eaten it 5 years ago when it was in its prime.
Okay, do me a favor.
All right.
Pull up 24/7, just the 2023, whatever the next recruiting class is, 2024, the recruits that are out there.
So this is the class yet to sign, what Alabama's got coming up.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, not Alabama, just all the recruits, like the top, it can be the 24/7, whatever
like
they
their
are.
top 100 or whatever.
Their top 100,
Okay.
300. My point is there's a certain number of 5 stars, and it's a small number.
All right. It is right now 5 stars gets you in the 24/7 ranking through.
Yeah, and while you're doing this,
number 32.
It's a high percentage of these 5-star guys that go to the NFL.
Yeah, so that's 32 of the recruits.
Alabama has got 2 of them committed right now, 2 out of 32.
But 4 stars, which everyone still brags about 4 stars, I don't know the number, but I would say it's in the hundreds.
4 stars gets you from number 32. I got to go a little while.
Yeah, hundreds of 4 stars.
Because I think they'll reevaluate some guys that they could bump up to 5 stars. My gosh, 4 stars.
Yeah, it could be.
To your point,
400 of them.
I don't know if it's that many, but I am still digging to get to the bottom of the 4 stars.
This
Jimmy.
is my point here.
Yeah.
That when you get a 5-star recruit, there's 32 of them in the upcoming class. When you get a 4-star recruit, there are hundreds of 4-star recruits.
The ranking only goes to 247 that I've got right now, and I'm still in the 4 stars.
That's
and
my
I started
point.
at number 33.
So that's 200
At least 200,
more 4
at
stars.
least. Yeah.
And, it could be 400 for all I know. Not all 4 stars are created equal. The 5 stars are cut above the rest. There are 32 of those, and those rarely miss. 4 stars, you can be recruiting 4 stars and be at either end of a 4-star that could turn into a 5-star or really close to being a 5-star, or a 4-star that is only there, probably should have been a 3-star. And that's where the gap is. Are the 4-star guys you're recruiting, are they the guys that are really good enough to be 5 stars or can progress to be 5-star guys while they're there, top level players?
I just know this from 2008 until 2021, those 4 stars mainly turned into 5 stars.
Do you know a logo, though? This is kind of crazy. A logo I don't see until I get to number 48, and that's 4 stars. And most of the 5 stars are already committed. There's only a couple out there. A logo I really don't see. And like the highest rated 5-star that's uncommitted goes to Mater Day. I never know if I'm saying that right, but that's the way I've always said it.
Mater Day.
Mater Day in Santa Ana, California.
Maitre D.
Maitre D, thank you. That's the guy that seats you at a restaurant, right?
That's the guy that sits you at a restaurant.
That's who you thought. That's his name.
Okay. And he's not even considering this school, but USC does not have a single 5-star commitment. And most of them have already committed. And
that's strange.
It is wild. That's what I'm just looking at.
What you read is Lincoln Riley's got really good guys that have committed.
And so there's one guy, this top kid that goes to that school out in California. He's considering Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Texas A&M, and Colorado, of course.
Where does he go? That school in California?
Mater Day, whatever it is. The other guy that hasn't committed, he's heavy Texas, they say. Texas A&M for number 15, Terry Bussey out of Texas. There's 2 more that are both Texas, 100%, they say. One of them is also at Mater Day. He also is not considering Southern Cal. It's kind of crazy to see that with Lincoln Riley there.
Yeah,
I mean that's all your 5 stars. I haven't seen one.
But USC and Colorado will be 2 programs that I think will continue to live in the portal.
They will.
Yeah, just pick all stars.
Another thing that I would sell against USC is NIL. Yeah, you're going to make millions of dollars. You know how much you're going to get your ass taxed in California?
Right. Yeah. It's expensive to live out there. I mean, if you're not going to live on campus.
Yeah. So I found that interesting when it talks about another thing I'm hearing about Alabama is the offensive line size, right? That 350-pound offensive line that was being bragged about in the offseason now according to the fans, has become a detriment. They're too big.
Step slow.
Yeah, they're too big.
Well, I mean, is it helping?
I have not seen anything from this offensive line that is a calling card. Let's get a bunch of 350-pound guys.
Yeah, because I remember when Cole did the story in the Middle Tennessee game, right?
Yeah, the first game.
About how big they were, and they were bigger than any NFL offensive line.
By a lot.
By a lot. And everybody's like, oh, okay, the Alabama's got this massive offensive line. I haven't seen that it helps anything. I can't swear that it's what's hurting them.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't appear to be helping them.
Yeah. So just some of the buzz you hear about from the Alabama fans. A lot of people say quarterback, but our offensive line has been taking on a lot of water the last 2 weeks.
Now, if they go out and they scald Ole Miss's ass and they win this game by 21 plus, and Milroe plays clean football, do you think the narrative completely changes?
Okay, say that. Say Alabama goes out there.
They win the game by
13th ranked team in the country. They win it by 3 touchdowns. They play a clean sheet, no turnovers from Milroe, very few penalties. They look good. They control Ole Miss.
42-21, we'll call it.
42-21. They win the game by 21, double them up on CBS. Where's Alabama in the rankings the next day?
Well, some of it depends on what happens. You're going to have some
you have Notre Dame and Ohio State playing each other head up. You have Oregon and Colorado.
Yeah.
Penn State and Iowa, but not a lot of losable games.
Alabama move up a little bit. I mean, it might not get them back in the top 10, though.
Yeah, Florida State, man, there's a good chance they lose this weekend at Clemson.
Clemson? Yeah, I don't disagree with that. So you could have some turbulence in front of them that could help Alabama move up in that case, even if Alabama just wins, period.
I guess what Lance is adding, does the street conversation, the street cred change for Alabama? Everybody's kicked them to the curb. Do they get back into the conversation if they look different this week?
I kind of think so, yeah. I mean, if they go out and dominate Ole Miss, now Ole Miss is number, what are they, 15 right now?
Yeah, 15.
They haven't really done anything to blow anybody away. But, yeah, I mean, if Alabama goes out and looks dominant again, there might be people that say, okay, Milroe, they got his attention, and this looks like kind of old Alabama.
Champy's Chicken brings you this hour every day. Sterling, great guy. Champy'sChicken.com. Champy'sChicken.com. Highway 119 in Alabaster, open for lunch right now. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales and a lot more at Champy'sChicken.com. Mel Tucker is going to be fired. Michigan State informs him of that yesterday. Bruce Feldman's likely candidate list. Sean Lewis, offensive coordinator, Colorado.
He's done a great job.
Mike Elko, Lance Leopold, Chris Kleiman. Those 3 guys have done a heck of a job where they are at non-football powers. The only attractive thing about Michigan State is that it's in the Big Ten for those 3 guys to me.
If I'm Leopold, I jump from Kansas to go there. If I'm Elko, I'll probably go there from Duke. If I'm Kleiman, I keep Kansas State. If I'm Lewis, I take the job. I mean, I'm an offensive coordinator, and I was the head coach at Toledo? Is that where he came from?
I think those are good names if you can get any of those guys.
Kane Womack on the list as well from South Alabama.
Good for Kane. Hope he gets it.
How about that? Top of the hour here. Disrupt the Media. Go follow that YouTube channel, too. That's us. It may surprise you, but that's us, too. Disrupt the Media. Go follow that, subscribe. You get great content like The Burnout with Ryan Brown and Peter Burns, which starts right now. God bless you and God bless America.
Hey, welcome into another week of The Burnout. He is Peter Burns of ESPN and the SEC Network. I am Ryan Brown. Thank you for joining us. And it is always fun to talk SEC football with my man, Peter Burns. What is up, Burnsy? How are you this week?
We were talking about it right before we started. I'm like, the sports media gods have given us so many gifts, despite having a pretty crappy slate of games early this season. Like there hasn't been I don't know. I feel like there was always really marquee big time matchups early in the season. And while there were only a few of them, they gave us a boatload to talk about. And then now you see just the chaos. I never would have thought that I'd be breaking down South Florida Bulls and what it means to the SEC and the greatest coach of the history of the game. So, I'm fired up for today.
You would think we would learn every year, and I'm as guilty as anyone of this, of talking about how bad a week is. That's almost always the week that delivers. And it was still a fun weekend in spite of the fact that there were no real good top 25 matchups. The game seemed to lack a lot of intrigue. I mean, there was weird stuff happening everywhere in college football.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we're all anticipating week 4 because they have some fantastic matchups, and it'll be complete dud, right? So I'm good for that. But yeah, I mean, Listen, it's amazing. We did a segment on our show on SEC this morning on SEC Network and SiriusXM that was talking about like what the hell do we know now that we didn't know through the first couple of weeks of the season, right? And I mean, we zigged and zagged so many different ways of what we thought teams were going to be over at SEC Media Days. Hell, from what we thought teams were or were not going to be in week 1, Brownie, to where they're at, at the end of week 3. So I just love kind of the chaos. And I think there's as much parity in college football, not only in the SEC, but just top to bottom as we've seen since I've been in sports media.
Well, we'll start with that storyline with LSU. The Burnout presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign up at MyBookie.ag. Get that sign-on bonus up to $200 with any deposit of $50 or more. MyBookie.ag. Code next round. That is MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign up. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. LSU goes to Starkville. Some had said, hey, this could be a tough spot for LSU playing at Mississippi State. They were 2-0. Zach Arnett's team had played fairly well in the first 2 weeks. They were running the ball consistently. One of the best rushing attacks, weird flip, but one of the best rushing attacks in the SEC. It was never a game. State was not in that game from the jump. LSU dominated. This was the LSU team that I think a lot of people thought they were going to see this year, Bernsey.
Yeah, and this is why I had said on this show last week that despite how bad LSU looked in that second half against FSU, I felt better about LSU through 2 weeks in this season than I did back in 2022. Because I saw in 2022 how the season got progressively better, about how Dim Brock understood how to use Jaden Daniels a little bit more and how House, learned his defense a little bit better. And so it played out, right? And I was with you. The first, your first thoughts about Mississippi State is that's a tough place to play. The cowbell's ringing. It's 11 a.m. The crazy storyline about Brian Kelly blaring music in the pregame breakfast and yelling at people and then having to stay an hour away from Starkville, and they stop at a car dealership to stretch and do some run. I mean, it was like total like Friday Night Lights type stuff. And yet it worked. I mean, it was everything that they wanted to have happen in Starkville that didn't happen when they had that 11 a.m. kickoff in Baton Rouge against Tennessee. Remember, they came out sleepwalking in that game, and Tennessee just absolutely crushed them at home. It was demoralizing. I mean, like, I started thinking about it. It wasn't LSU versus Oklahoma in the semifinal game where Joe Burrow threw for like 9 touchdowns in the first quarter, but that might have been the single best half of football that I've seen LSU play since, I want to say 2007, the opener against Virginia Tech, where they just blitzed the hell out of every single quarterback that they had. They were dominant on defense. Offensively, they were rolling. And so to me, the sky is the future. Sky is the limit right now for LSU.
Well, what was it the old saying? Those roof is the ceiling, or
the roof is the ceiling. Yeah, it was Roy Williams or something like that. Anything is possible, or all of those conflated storylines or whatever.
Obviously, we're going to get to Georgia later. You would have to factor them into this discussion, though. But we'll get to them more in depth later. I mean, can you make an argument right now? LSU is the best team in the Southeastern Conference.
Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Whatever the hell that saying was, right? Like, because I don't want to go that far. In fact, John Harris, who I respect as a football mind, had Andre Ware on his podcast and was asking the question going, hey, I know what happened against FSU, but could you make the argument that LSU is the best team, not just in the SEC, but in college football? I was like, bro, I don't need that evil on me, Ricky Bobby, not this early, because I don't want to tempt the college football gods, but they got the weapons, right? And that was the biggest difference maker this week is we knew Daniels and Malik Neighbors were great weapons, but they finally clicked. So that was important. But I think the biggest part of it was allowing Harold Perkins to get back into the position of being comfortable and just, hey, see ball, go get ball. Stop thinking,
just be a disruptor. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Raised hell. And I think that kind of gave some juice to the defense, which gave juice to LSU's offense, and you really felt like you were more the aggressor rather than kind of defending like I thought they were at least week 1 versus FSU.
Better receiver, Luther Burden or Malik Neighbors?
I love Neighbors. I mean, he had
Yeah.
2 catches in that game that, Doring was with me in studio, and he says, watch the late hands. And I go, what do you mean late hands? And he goes, a wide receiver runs a route, and instead of going, hey, I'm here right from the get-go, he doesn't run with his hands up until last second, and the defender doesn't know where the ball's going to be. So he loved that stuff. But, man, Luther Burden he's a cheat code right now, and I love the fact that how Missouri used him. And so Luther Burden was everything that I thought he would be as a 5-star guy for Missouri, and they're now starting to use him that way. The 7 catches was monstrous in that K-State game, but it was crazy about Malik Neighbors because remember, Neighbors was a Mississippi State commit, and there's a story that was over on the Advocate saying about the morning that he was going to commit, he was in between Mississippi State and LSU. And he goes into his house and his mom has all of her Mississippi State clothes laid out. Like, it's going to be perfect. She's wearing that. My son's going to state. And he tells mom, he goes, Mom, don't put that outfit on. He ultimately ended up flipping out to LSU, and we saw him just raise hell down on Starkville on Saturday.
Well, he was phenomenal in that game. But, I know the late hands, he's able to do the late hands because Jaden Daniels is putting it right on him. I mean, it's what you wanted to see out of Jaden Daniels. Now, the thing that concerns me is yet again, and this is such a weird trend that I'm going to ask you, are we stuck with this trend? Jaden Daniels leads them in rushing. And that has just been the most perplexing thing is how they can't find a way to have a more traditional run game under Brian Kelly at LSU. Time and time again, Jaden Daniels leads them in rushing. I'm concerned about that. Am I overblowing it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I go back and look at the scoreboard, right? If it ended up being 17-14 and Jaden Daniels was the leading rusher, I'd be like, ugh, this Logan Diggs or whoever, Emery, whoever it is not really, running the rock really well, and that offensive line is not good. But when I also look at what he did to this team and ultimately what we saw offensively from LSU, I mean, LSU is the 6th highest scoring offense in college football right now, number 1 in the SEC. So, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that offense whatsoever right now, but that's just what they are. I mean, they're going to be a pass-heavy team that uses his legs. He's got to learn how to get down, though. I mean, I remember Adrian Peterson, whenever he ran over at Oklahoma, thinking that guy's going to get injured because he doesn't know how to, get out of bounds. Daniels needs to learn how to slide a little bit better. He keeps trying to do these, keep it going moves, and, man, he's going to get crushed one day.
Yeah, I mean, I got to confess, I did not watch any of the Grambling game, but both in the Florida State game and Saturday against Mississippi State, he's left his feet and he's been hit in midair. Yeah. And in the Florida State game, he got driven back down to the turf. It wasn't as bad Saturday against State, but you're right about that. He has got to protect himself better than that. He's far too valuable to LSU to be leaving his feet. Just slide, just get down, just run out of bounds. Your offense is good enough to make up that 2 or 3 yards that you sacrifice. Now, look, if it's 4th and whatever, okay, or 3rd and whatever. But if it's 1st or 2nd down, your offense is good enough to make up the yards that you're going to sacrifice by sliding or going out of bounds.
And I think it was a huge game for Jaden because there was this dumb vocal minority, which there always is around college football, of, hey, the backup quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, would give us a much better look, which was, listen, there's a reason why Jaden, got him to Atlanta last year. Nuss was good in kind of mop-up duty. But, the idea that Nussmeier would give them a different spark, I'm glad that they've put that thing to bed over the last couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to them playing Arkansas coming up this weekend, mostly because not even Jaden Daniels in this offense, but because the defense looks like it is firing on all cylinders. And on the flip side, Arkansas's offensive line just struggled. I mean, they really had it handed to them against BYU. So that's definitely going to be an advantage that LSU is going to have this weekend.
LSU a heavy favorite in that game at mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at mybookie.ag. Get that sign-on bonus up to $200 for any deposit of $50 or more. And also, don't forget they've got that parlay deal. 3-leg parlay. You hit those first 2. You don't want to sweat out the 3rd one. Cash it right out. Use that money elsewhere at mybookie.ag. Code next round when you sign up. mybookie.ag. Code next round. As always, the plays you use there can come from Lance's Lock. LT, another winning college football weekend and NFL weekend, 5-1 day in the NFL. Yes, sir. Hot in the NFL this past Sunday. Lance'sLock.com for all those plays. Lance'sLock.com. Daily packages, weekly packages, monthly packages, full season packages. There at Lance'sLock.com. Get the winners and take them to mybookie.ag. All right. Is LSU back? They appear to be. Is Florida back? Huge win for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators as they host Tennessee. Tennessee never wins in that building. They play different in that building than they play anywhere else on the planet. It is definitely a mental block. I don't know why, Bernsey, because it's different coaches, different rosters, but it's a mental block them playing at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in the Swamp. They just do not play well there.
Yeah, I want to apologize to Florida, to the Florida fan base, to Billy Napier, to Graham Mertz, to their relatives, to whatever, like
all the descendants, yes.
everybody, because, I still thought that Tennessee wasn't going to lose that much from going to Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton, right? I really thought that this was a product of Heupel, his offense, it's plug and play, and clearly that's not the case. And clearly the fan base, I think, made a monster difference, Brownie, in that game, because right off the bat, there was 5 offensive penalties on that offensive line, and they look shook. Milton, one of the things that was good about him all season long and why they felt comfortable with him taking over the reins is that he just didn't turn the ball over, right? It was 200-plus passes without an interception. He doesn't make the boneheaded move. And sure enough, we saw him just get crushed on that offensive line and throw the ball up for grabs. I'm like, what the hell was that? It wasn't fourth down or anything like that. It was just a horrible play. And that got the crowd rocking even more. And I'm happy for Billy, man. Everybody wants microwavable success in college football right now, especially with what we're seeing with Deion Sanders being able to flip an entire roster. But that's the outlier, right? Normally it takes a year or two. And there were a lot of people that were tough on Billy Napier saying, oh, he's Sunbelt Billy, he'll never change. That was one of those wins you could plant your flag on going, hey, I told you, relax a little bit. The cavalry's coming. And to beat Tennessee, and not just kind of beat them, they whooped their ass in that first half. That was really, really impressive and a win the Gators needed to have.
His best win to date had been that opener against Utah.
Yep.
I mean, his very first win against Utah. But the problem with wins like that is they lose their luster if you don't do anything with them, and he didn't. So now this is his biggest win, and the challenge now is what do you do with this win, right? Is you look like a totally different team from week 1 out in Salt Lake to that game Saturday night in Gainesville. Is that the step forward that this program needs to get somewhere back close to what Florida football has been over the last 20 years?
So it's funny, as I'm typing right now, I'm trying to look at their schedule going forward because we talked about it. All right, coming up, next game, it's against Charlotte at home. That should be a win.
Yep, that's an easy win.
Then you go into Lexington, which I think they look better against Akron this week. Devin Leary looked really good. So did Ray Davis. But I would say that's a bit of a toss-up game between Florida and Kentucky.
No doubt.
Then you are home against Vanderbilt, should be a win. Then you play South Carolina. I mean, it's not without the realm of possibility that we're talking about a team that's sitting there at 5-1 going into the Georgia game and being ranked top 15. Now, I still think Georgia's a better squad, but it's coming together, and this is exactly what they needed at the right time.
Yeah, they are set up, to your point, to take advantage of this and make it, at least going into the cocktail party, at least appear that they've taken a step forward, whether they have or not. But that's life in the SEC. There's always going to be that next challenge in the Southeastern Conference where you got to go beat a Georgia, or you got to beat an LSU, or you got to beat somebody like that to prove that you truly have taken a step forward. But Tennessee was the game that they had to play. I thought Austin Armstrong, the Florida defensive coordinator, who had gotten criticized, maybe he had risen the ranks a little too quickly, bad hire by Billy Napier after that Utah game. That was a really good defensive performance by his squad. Now, I'll tell you where it showed up the most, not necessarily in the first half, but in that first drive of the second half, you forced Tennessee to burn off, I think it was 5.5, 6 minutes, use 2 timeouts. They scored, but they only kicked the field goal. And it was after that, Tennessee's fighting uphill the rest of the way because they're down 2 timeouts. They burned a ton of time off the clock, and they only got 3 points out of it. I thought that was a masterful defensive drive there by Armstrong.
Yeah, I'll give credit to my co-host, Chris Doring, who said, he told me on Friday, he's like, dude, Florida's going to win this game. And I go, what makes you so comfortable in saying that? He goes, man, he's like, I talked to Austin Armstrong, and he's like, they really feel like there are some advantages they can take up with their defensive line versus Tennessee's offensive line, especially with Cooper Mays not being there, their starting center. They end up having a third-string center, and they took advantage of it. But you're right in the fact of it wasn't so much as causing turnovers or causing havoc. It's just frustrating them. You could tell that they could never get into a rhythm. And especially with the amount of, with the clocks not stopping any longer on first downs, like Tennessee wants to go fast because it's about, hey, how many times can we touch the ball? How many possessions we can have? It's like kind of like NBA teams now look at the analytics and they're like, we're going to shoot a bunch of 3-pointers. We just need to get them off, right?
Right.
And they couldn't get the plays off. And you could tell Heupel was just frustrated. Every time they would show him, he's like, man, they could not get it going. And ultimately that was the difference.
It was definitely the difference. Now, on the other side of that game, you mentioned Heupel. I mean, Sunday after church, I'm out eating lunch with my family, watching the early NFL games. Manager of the restaurant walks up to me and says, hey, I know y'all are going to talk on the show tomorrow about Florida, Tennessee. I'm a huge Tennessee fan. I'm ready to see Nico. So that's going to be your natural reaction, right? I'm ready to see Nico. Your alma mater comes to town for Tennessee. Might they do? Now, I don't know if Frank Harris he's got that toe injury, the quarterback for UTSA, and that's a huge storyline. He didn't play against Army. They lost the game in San Antonio there.
Yeah.
If you're Josh Heupel, do you try the Nick Saban approach? Maybe let Nico get some snaps, let Joe Milton watch it from the sideline a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because I feel like if you went with Nico, I don't know if we're going back to Milton because this would be the third time that he's gotten benched. So you need to prepare yourself that if this is going to be the way you go, like I feel like Saban, and I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, can go back to Jalen Milroe. I'm not quite sure if you can go back to Joe Milton if you make that change. Nor do I know if Nico's ready. I mean, Heupel knows what he has in front of those guys. I mean, go back and look at Clemson, right? I mean, a lot of people thought that they went down with the ship last year because they kept forcing DJ Uiagalelei, who was clearly out of his depth and wasn't working well in that offense. And they thought they should go with Cade Klubnik at some point, who looked better when he got into that offense. So it's tough because, I was a proponent of saying, listen, stop talking about Nico. Joe Milton's your guy. But there's just something that's not clicking with this offense right now. And UTSA is a sneaky good opponent. About people are going to look at them and go, wow, they have 2 losses. I don't know anything about the Road Runners, but like Jeff Traylor is a coach in SOB. And I think one of the reasons why he held out Frank Harris in that game was, hey, if we're going to pick and choose, maybe we can beat Army with our backup quarterback. But I'd rather have the whole world paying attention if Frank comes back healthy in Rocky Top and we pull off the upset. That would be the biggest upset in UTSA football history.
They could, in fact, not beat Army with their backup quarterback. That was the problem. And it wasn't the backup quarterback's fault. It's the fact that they could not stop Army that night.
Army had like 45 minutes of time of possession and not a single penalty. Like it was as efficient as I'd want the armed forces to be in anything they do.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely right. And it got Monken a contract extension. He just announced today. Yeah, like $2 million a year. To coach a service academy, that's a pretty good gig because you don't have to deal with a whole lot of discipline issues because somebody else handles your discipline for you.
Right.
The expectations, they're tempered, right? I mean, I don't think anybody thinks you're supposed to be in the playoffs every year, and you're making $2 million, and then the recruiting. I mean, it's you're not just casting a wide net in recruiting. You're specifically going after guys. Look, I mean, you got to accept the fact that I'm not going to win a national championship. Yeah. And I'm not going to play on a lot of massive stages. But if you just want to coach ball and make good money, $2 million to be the Army coach ain't bad.
I mean, listen, I've always said that. And I like Clark Lee. I was really disappointed how they kind of blew that game against, UNLV this week because they had an opportunity to win late. But I always said, like, quality of life-wise, could be worse to be the head coach over at Vanderbilt as well, too. Like, you're going to get paid SEC money. You're living in Nashville. Nobody really expects you to win 10, 11 games. But, you win 6, 7, 8 games and people are like, all right, man, things are rolling. And they got new facilities. Like, quality of life is extremely important. I would say the quality of life right now at Army is probably better than it is in Tuscaloosa. As far as, the feeling around the program, we'll put it that way.
Yes. I would still say Monken would trade spots with Nick Saban like that if you gave him the opportunity to do it.
At least they probably know who their quarterback is. I mean,
That's a good point.
Monken's not going to have a, 12 hours of open phone lines for people to call and ask about Army football. That's going to be the case about Alabama football because everybody knows how to fix it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. More on Alabama in just a little bit. It is the Burnout with Peter Burns. I am Ryan Brown, and you can support our sponsor, MyBookie.ag, code next round. When you go to MyBookie.ag, get that sign-on bonus with code next round. Make sure you use that, and they'll take great care of you there in MyBookie.ag. Also, Roback.com. Burnsy and I use the Roback often. Great pullovers, hoodies, quarter zips, golf shirts, all that there at Roback.com. Code TNR20 at checkout to save 20% on your first order there at Roback.com.
Real quick, did you see the new Roback commercial with Ed Ogeron?
I did. How good is that? He's their acting CEO. Is that right?
Yeah, the interim CEO,
Yeah.
and he's great because they got the Roback dog, which is famous, and he's sitting there going, maybe we should be a tiger, and he's like, go Robacks, the same way as go Tigers. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
you take the guy out of Baton Rouge, you can't take the Baton Rouge out of the guy.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of a good life, that guy's getting pretty good money to sit around and live his best life right now, right?
I remember the famous story about when he got let go. He was like, how much you pay me? How much are you going to pay me? And where's the door?
That's right. That's right.
Ogeron's living, he's doing okay.
Yeah, make sure you got the bank account right for the direct deposit. I'll see you guys whenever you need me.
Yep.
I'm just going to go sit on the beach somewhere. All right, let's talk about Georgia. Georgia, South Carolina was a weird game. 14-3 at the half. Spencer Rattler looked like an NFL quarterback in that first possession. Took South Carolina right down the field. Georgia's offense was never just like awful, but it was also just never good. And I think a lot of people watched this Georgia team. They saw this happen against UT Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, that's UT Martin. They saw it happen against Ball State, and they're like, it's against Ball State. Let's see South Carolina. Same exact thing against South Carolina. Another slow first half start for Mike Bobo's offense. At some point, this has got to be concerning. I don't know that there's a team that's going to beat you on that schedule, but at some point, these slow starts have to concern you if you're a Georgia fan.
Yeah, only 10 points so far through 3 games in the first quarter. I mean, that's the thing is, hey, at some point you can't just expect to show up and out depth chart somebody, right? Even in the regular season, you should be able to do that because it's a pretty manageable schedule. But at some point, if you're going to go win your 3rd national championship, you have to impose your will. You have to show up and go, holy crap, we got to play Georgia. And all of a sudden, like when Bama was at its best, you couldn't go piss in the first 10 minutes of the game because you're like, well, I'm going to miss 2 touchdowns. Like it's going to be 17-0, and then I can start doing laundry around the house. Like that's not the case with Georgia. And so, but they showed me something that second half. Like they got bloodied, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, we need to make this happen right here, right now. And so I was impressed with that. And good teams and championship teams find a way to win where they don't have their fastball, when they don't have their good stuff. Tiger at its best was not because when Tiger Woods was winning tournaments because he was striping everything, is when he had what he considered his C+ game, but he was still good enough to get it around the golf course and win. And I feel like that's the case with Georgia football right now. Not having Ladd McConkey, I think, is a difference maker right now. The running back situation is still not quite right. They haven't been using Brock Bowers spread out wide, which Monken did a really good job with, and I haven't seen that a lot out of Mike Bobo. But they made those changes in the second half. And that second half against a good South Carolina team might be as good of a half of football that we've seen all season long from an SEC team outside of what LSU did to Mississippi State in that first half. So, I look at Georgia as almost like they're in a poker tournament and they're the chip leader, right?
Yeah.
They got all the chips. There's no sense in getting kind of crazy. They can kind of just take everything easy and pick and choose their spots where they're going to attack. But at some point, you're going to get to the final table and you're going to have to make some aggressive moves. They haven't been pushed to that point yet.
They have not. Carson Beck, 27 of 35, 269, no touchdowns, no picks. With the way Georgia normally can run the football and play defense, those numbers are just fine. I think Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo would take those numbers every single game.
Yeah, again, you're winning it based on every time I look at Georgia, I look at through the prism or the lens of what Alabama was doing at its peak, right? That's how I compare them. And when I think of what Alabama was doing at its peak, it was they play really good defense, they're opportunistic, they play field position, and then they just wear your ass down. And that's basically been the MO for Georgia all season long right now. So there's different ways to win a championship. And he's more of a, listen, your roster's not better than me. My good are going to be better than your good. So let's just play it out. So again, it's still a good win for them. And ultimately, I still think they're the number 1 team in the country and the best team, of course, in the SEC.
On the other side of that, South Carolina is a team that a lot of people thought had some promise coming into this year. They lost the season opener in the Duke's Mayo Classic against North Carolina. They come back and get a win against Furman. Now the loss to Georgia. All of a sudden, they're 1-2 when people thought maybe they could take a step forward in the East. there is a level of concern. I think your defense has played pretty well, but you can't run the football and you can't really protect Spencer Rattler, and those continue to be massive concerns for them moving forward.
Yeah, and not in losing Juice Wells, who was an absolute difference maker, that stunk. He's going to be out with a foot injury. And Xavier Legette is as big of a mismatch as you can have. And Spencer Rattler, I'll be honest with you right now, as much as I like Jaden Daniels, if you tell me that I got one game with one quarterback right now, and I've got with a great squad, I'm putting Spencer Rattler probably as my QB1. I just think that he has, he's taken that next step, and he looks like the guy that we thought he was going to be 7 years ago when we, said that he was going to be a freshman that wins the Heisman, with Lincoln Riley and that offense back up in Norman. So I'm impressed with them. It's just, that's the difference in the depth chart, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why, Beamer's trying to recruit the hell out of that area, because it's tough. You're going to get worn down and you get injuries in the transfer portal. It just stinks. But I will tell you this, I think it was important for Georgia to see the fire that South Carolina came out with. Because I don't think Georgia, that team, understood what it's like to play with their hair on fire. And that was a monster deal for South Carolina to come up there. Did you hear Shane Beamer, his interview at halftime?
Oh, yeah. I liked it, because
loved it.
Every coach basically says, we're going to play like it's nothing. And Shane Beamer's like, no, let's play like we got the lead and try to keep scoring.
Yeah, he goes, no, we whooped their ass in the first half. We're going to continue to do it. And I love it,
I do too.
Guess what? I mean, Georgia went back at him, and it wasn't I bet he wish he didn't say that. No, I guarantee you Shane would be the first person to say, no, I mean, they whooped us that half. So it's okay to have strong opinions in college football, right? Deion has shown us that with the celebrity status he has. I like Shane Beamer having that fire. Like, if you can't believe in your guys and go to bat for them, what the hell are you taking that job for?
So the question, what is Georgia? You still say best team in the SEC, the team you would still vote number one in the country.
Yeah, because until I see a absolute crystal clear reason why you shouldn't be the number one team, if you've won back-to-back titles, you're still that way. And I still don't think that they're playing. I talked to some people in Georgia, and they were talking about how the injury report might be as long as they've ever had one over there. Just guys banged up and guys just not 100%. So I don't think we've seen the final form of Georgia football. And that's frankly still pretty scary about what they can do with, a half deck of cards right now.
All right. We continue on the Burnout with Peter Burns. It is presented each week by MyBookie.ag. Code next round. When you sign up at MyBookie.ag, get that sign-on bonus up to $200 with any deposit of $50 or more. MyBookie.ag, code next round. Don't forget they've got that parlay deal where get those first two legs. You don't really like the way that third leg feels. You can cash out, use that money elsewhere. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. All right, coming off the narrower than most thought win over South Florida. What is Alabama? This is a Crimson Tide team that is showing some cracks and flaws that have not often, if ever, appeared in the Nick Saban era, but that's who this team is right now. What is Alabama right now to you?
To me, Alabama was a team that said we're going to use South Florida as a litmus test.
Yeah.
Right. People were surprised that Milroe wasn't the backup quarterback, and it made perfect sense. We talked about that going into the game and talked about it this morning before Nick Saban announced that it's more than likely going to be Jalen Milroe the rest of the way. This was the opponent in which you say, all right, we know what we have in Jalen Milroe. Okay. Good, bad, or ugly, indifferent, whatever. We know what we have. We don't know what we have in Tyler Buchner. Or we don't know what we have with Ty Simpson. Reese, Buchner was your guy. You told me to get him. Go out there. Prove it to me. He didn't. Okay. There was no spark. There was nothing. He looked lost. You had your chance, kid. Sorry. Ty Simpson looked a little better, but still shaky. And I think the whole team was waiting for someone to give him a spark, and they just never got that. So, I look at this as this was more of a team that knew if really were panicking, they would have put Jalen Milroe in that game. Right. And it just wasn't going to be the case. So you found out what who your guy is. And I think it's a great learning lesson. But now, Brownie, Tommy Rees has to go in there and say, we're going to build this offense around what Jalen Milroe can do, not what we want him to do. I think there's a big difference right now. I said it last week. I thought Harold Perkins and Jalen Milroe were being misused in their respective teams. And they're asking Perkins to play linebacker. That's not what he does well. LSU changed that, and look at the results. Milroe, they're asking him to make a couple of more reads and kind of develop into that secondary passer. Maybe that's not his strong suit right now, but my goodness, he can move out of the pocket. So now Tommy Rees has to find a way to say, you're a run-first quarterback. Let's do that. More design runs, more RPOs, and let it rip.
Yeah, because that'll do a lot of things. Number one, it'll mask some of the deficiencies you have in the offensive line, which they've got offensive line deficiencies in pass protection.
Yeah.
So that helps there. Will slow down that pass rush a little bit and help your offensive line. Number two, it'll bring those safeties a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage to support that run game, which opens up your deep passing game.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, Alabama found some good success with Jace McClellan and Roydale Williams running the football. Those guys are averaging just under, I think, 7 yards per carry this year. So they've got some guys that can run the football. And when you put the quarterback more in the run game, it's only going to help the running back. So I'm with you. I think more designed runs for Jalen Milroe will fix some, not all, some of Alabama's ills in that position and overall on offense.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that offensive line, I didn't think Tommy Rees, I was a little disappointed in the play calling for both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And because to me, if you're going to throw these guys out, you put them in a place to succeed. So you're going to throw a bunch of really short length passes, little pop passes, little things that they feel really comfortable, get your guys into space. And they didn't do any of that. It felt like, especially with Ty Simpson, they're running these deep route concepts where Simpson has to make a couple of reads and he's got 3 or 4 seconds to try to figure out when the wide receivers were open, and the offensive line got exposed by South Florida of all people. So, again, I think that was an exploratory game for Alabama to say, hey, is our offensive line good enough to where we trust it, in longer pass route concepts? They don't. And can we trust either one of these quarterbacks? They can't. Let's go back to Milroe, retool it, and all systems go now.
All right, let's look at the upcoming schedule this weekend. We'll hit on some of the games throughout the Southeastern Conference coming up in week number 4. A reminder, all those games available at mybookie.ag, code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, mybookie.ag, code next round. And also hit lanceslock.com to get some of the winners coming off another winning football weekend, including a 5-1 NFL day. Lanceslock.com before going to mybookie.ag. They've got daily packages at lanceslock.com. We got weekly, monthly, season-long packages. Winners across the board. Only one losing season in the history of the site at lanceslock.com. Another winning football weekend on the way. Let's just pick up right where we left off there. The 2:30 CBS game is Alabama. Ole Miss comes to town. Lane Kiffin getting the week started right, saying, I don't even think Kevin's still calling the defensive signals. Nick Saban had to open his press conference by saying, I know you've heard the rumor. Kevin's still our defensive coordinator. He's still calling the signals. We should expect nothing different from Lane Kiffin doing this on Alabama week.
Well, I'd like to expect something different from Lane Kiffin about, the mind games are the mind games, whatever they are. We're going to hype it up. I get it. But at some point, you have to have substance behind the hype. Remember a couple of years ago, it was the canned, grab your popcorn.
Yeah, get your popcorn, went for all the fourth downs.
Yeah. It was just he cost the Rebels a really good chance to win that game. Last year, he toned it down, but they still couldn't back it up. And this is a year, even though it's in D-Town, where you're like, you arguably have the best 3 quarterbacks on the football field, right? When you look at Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders, and probably even Walker Howard, I might project those 3 to be better than anything that Alabama has right now. You've got Pete Golden, who I guarantee you is highly upset of that he didn't get enough love or kind of not necessarily show him the door, but move in a different direction over at Alabama. He's got a chip on his shoulder. If not now, win for Lane Kiffin to get that victory over Nick Saban that he so badly wants, right? That's what he wants. So it's interesting. You're catching him at the right time. I just don't know, how healthy Quinshawn is. And without Trey Harris, that wide receiver for him, they look different. And I know they're trying to figure it out, but that's going to be a hell of a battle in T-Town.
It has been strange, though. Lane Kiffin, one of the misunderstood things I've always said about him is everybody thinks he's just this wide open offense, throws it all over the field. The guy's actually more dedicated to the run game than just about anybody you'll see offensively. But that's where they've struggled this year. You mentioned Quinshawn Judkins' health.
Whatever the case might be, he's only averaging 48 yards per carry, or excuse me, per
awesome.
game.
Yeah. That was my Tecmo Bowl, Bo Jackson type numbers back in the day.
I'd give it to him a lot at 48 yards per carry. 48 yards per game. This was a guy that led the conference in rushing last year. They have not been able to get that run game going against Tulane and against Georgia Tech. Alabama's played pretty well defensively. And that is something I gotta see them run the football to believe they could still do it.
I will say this. I was shocked that, Vegas and MyBookie and a bunch of those guys came out with a double-digit favorite for Alabama against Ole Miss. I thought that number might be around 6.5 or maybe even closer. But the fact that it's still double digits and from the last thing I saw, unless you've seen anything different.
Yeah, I think that was a faulty report because I think what that was, if I'm not mistaken, Michael Casagrande, AL.com, tweeted that, and a lot of people ran with it. I think that was still one of those look-ahead lines.
Oh, okay.
That you have limited action on. When it actually came out, to your point, Alabama was 6.5 point favorite, depending on where you found that game. So, and it's kind of hung around a touchdown. So Alabama about a touchdown favorite in that one, which is, to your point, that's about where you thought it would be.
Yeah, and again, how many times are you going to play the greatest coach in the history of the game in their building and only be a touchdown underdog? I can't. I mean, maybe LSU, LSU, Bama in 2019 might have been kind of close to that number, but we haven't seen. Maybe LSU, Bama in 2011, the game of the century, might have been close to that number, but this is, quote, as gettable as it is. Yep. And I mean, and Bama can shut everybody the hell up if they go in there and they rout an Ole Miss squad. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but my goodness, everybody just kind of hushes if Milroe, performs like we think that they do. And then you start going back and looking at it. Well, all right. So Lane had the 10-win season in 2020 or 2021. Yeah. Okay. That he went to the Sugar Bowl. Yep. But like, when are you going to, be that next team up? In Oxford? That's a big question.
That is the 2:30 CBS game, straight out of Game Day on ESPN. Auburn is at Texas A&M.
I'm fascinated. I cannot wait. SEC Nation's going to be there. Like, that is such a fascinating game.
Well, it really is, because the teams kind of mirrored one another. Like, Auburn goes to Cal. They do not have a good performance. Fortunate to win the game at Cal. Mm-hmm. The same day, Texas A&M is in Miami. They do not have a good performance. They're not quite so fortunate. They don't win the game. Then you come back and play an inferior opponent, and it looks like you've solved all your issues. Auburn played really good defensively against a good offensive FCS team in Samford. Peyton Thorne led the team in rushing. He did have 2 interceptions, but he had a lot of yards. And then you look at Weigman and that Texas A&M offense. Look like they fixed a lot of things against La Monroe, and you're like, I know enough football to know they didn't just flip a switch and fix things. Some of it's got to be opponent related. So I'm like you. I'm fascinated to see where these teams are when they face one another. Texas A&M also about a touchdown favorite in this game in College Station.
They should be a 2-touchdown favorite in my mind. Because listen, I think everybody is still kind of looking at the hangover of the last 2 years for A&M. Offensively, they have not been bad. I mean, even in the Miami game, Weigman I thought was pretty solid. It was the defense that really kind of struggled, and so I don't think Hugh has his guys or his concepts 100% in his personnel to take it to that next step. This would be a absolutely nauseating loss for Texas A&M and that fan base if Auburn under Hugh Freeze in the first year comes into your building and beats you. Then you're going to sit there and go, well, wait a minute. We're on year 6 of this project, and this guy just parachuted in down to the plains and beat us at our own game. What the hell is that? So there's no such thing as a must-win for Jimbo Fisher because it's a guaranteed contract. But it's as equally as important, that victory for Jimbo Fisher, as it was for Billy Napier to get that win against Tennessee at home, to just make sure there's not a mass exodus as far as a fan base really supporting that team.
Auburn's next 3, Texas A&M on the road, hosting Georgia, and then at LSU. This is a brutal stretch of football for Auburn. I would say we'll learn a lot about them, but you don't expect them to win any of those games. Maybe you do learn something about them, but it's not as if you've used the phrase litmus test on here today. I don't know that the next 3 weeks is an Auburn litmus test. Yeah. I think you assume they're going to lose those 3 games. If they win any one of them, it's a great surprise for an Auburn.
This is a redshirt year in my mind. If you're an Auburn Tiger fan, it's like, right, let's figure out what we have, what Hugh can do with this roster, what works, what doesn't work, and to me, you win any of those 3, and it's gravy. And my God, if you somehow found a way to win 2 of those games, holy hell, then we start thinking about like move over, Deion Sanders. This Hugh Freeze, ended up being kind of the focal point of college football. So I still like A&M in that game.
Saturday night, the sun will find its home in the western sky down in Baton Rouge as Arkansas comes to town. We talked some about LSU earlier, but that Arkansas-BYU game, Sam Pittman probably had some trouble sleeping. They're up 14-0 quickly. But then to your point, they kind of got whipped at the line of scrimmage, which is Sam's, that's his specialty.
Yeah.
And they lost that game to BYU at the line of scrimmage. BYU took over and they dictated the physicality of that game.
Yeah, that was tough. And there's nothing more demoralizing when a team just says we're going to out physical you, especially a Sam Pittman team, especially over there in Fayetteville. So not having Rocket Sanders is just brutal because, they lost so much, mostly on the defensive side, but not having that guy, he's such a Robin to the Batman that is KJ Jefferson, that it forces KJ to have to do almost too much. And we saw that. And again, you nailed it with the offensive line issues. I mean, I don't know if you could think of a worse matchup for Arkansas right now than the front 7 of LSU playing at home. And I think you said, is that a night game? A night
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock ESPN. Yeah.
Fully liquored up and
That's
hydrated LSU. There's a lot of it's not a lot of love lost between those two teams. That's a big rivalry game. Remember, it's the battle for the boot. That game used to always be played around Thanksgiving. And LSU's feeling it right now. This would be one of those holy hell shockers if Arkansas ended up beating LSU. I mean, I would say even bigger of an upset than when Arkansas beat LSU back in triple overtime in 2007.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I think LSU somewhere around a 14-point favorite in this game. So a 2-touchdown favorite. Just the way they played coming out of Starkville. They look like the best team in the conference that day coming out of Starkville. And now you got Arkansas coming off a very disappointing loss. These are the types of games where a lot of times you get in trouble when you try to pair those things up. But any normal observer says LSU is a much better team than Arkansas right now, especially to your point without Rocket Sanders. Just such an important part of that offense.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's good for Florida to find out what they had when they lost to Utah in week 1. I told you on this one last week. It was great for LSU to find out what the pressure points were against FSU, what they can and cannot do. And at least so far, 2 years in a row, Brian Kelly and that coaching staff has found out saying, oh, we suck at this. This is how we're going to fix it. And it eventually got better. We'll see if Dan Enos and Pittman can do that.
All right. We'll look back at all those games next week. The Burnout presented by mybookie.ag. Don't forget code next round when you sign up there at mybookie.ag to get that sign-on bonus up to $200 when they need to deposit of $50 or more. They're at mybookie.ag. Do not forget code next round. Also, lanceslock.com to get your winners to take over there, coming off another winning weekend in college football, including a 5-1 in the NFL. Lanceslock.com. That is lanceslock.com. Daily, weekly, monthly, and even season-long packages there at lanceslock.com to get all your winners there. And roback.com, code TNR20 at checkout to save 20% on all the fantastic apparel at roback.com. Next week, we look back at week 4 of the SEC season and the Ryder Cup. You and I can talk about the Ryder Cup. How about that?
I will. Here's a tease. And I don't know. I've told this story briefly, kind of edited on ESPN radio only once a couple years ago.
You're going to tell it?
I have the infamous me crashing
so
into the European and USA Ryder Cup team party in 2016 that I think the law of limitations or the statute of limitations has run out. So I'll tell that story here on the Burnout.
It is such a good story, too. Oh, yes. What a tease. I cannot wait for next week. So we'll do all of that next week on the Burnout. Until then, Burnsy, have a great week. Enjoy the college football.
See y'all.